truly cares about Lovecraft Cat.
You don't know about Lovecraft's cat? Chat, don't tell him.
I don't even think they heard the first part of that anyway.
That's the point.
Son of a...
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait.
It's mighty strange. You looking at the lazy rain. I can't tell if you're in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? It's in bed. Got your dog bite. It's in bed.
Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
You about to witness hip-hop in its most purest, most rawest form, flow, almost flawless, most hardest, most honest, known artist. Chip off the old block, but old Doc is back. Looks like Batman brought his own Robin. Oh God, Saddam's got his own Laden. Off the hinges, oranges, peach, pears, plums, oranges. Yeah, here I come, I'm inches away from you, there fear none. Hip-hop is in a state of 911 zone. Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Hell yeah. Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town. Let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness?
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
I wish I still had hair like that, but I don't. And it's kind of sad. Just a little bit.
No, you have anime hair now.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like watching that one. I was like, isn't that more like a Spencer hair thing? Why does he have like the long hair? Like he have to be because he's actually Asian, right? So it's like they can get away with having like those weirdo like anime haircuts. Like it fits for them. I don't know much about me, but nobody who's even seen the thing yet has no idea what we're talking about.
Exactly. But, Lovecraft's cat. Is it in a box or not?
Who knows? We'll have to figure out what that is first, and then and after
Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. Okay. Shh. Nobody tell him.
Nobody tell me, and then they don't even know either. So it's just like it's a joke on top of a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, guys, we're here for episode 118 the Ballroom Podcast. Yeah, this one's up for now, so I'll go ahead and record this one after the show before YouTube decides to take it down randomly because you were spreading misinformation. We'll get into a little bit of that here in a bit, but we do have our lovely friends joining us here for tonight's episode. Our good buddy Orange Hat is here. How you doing tonight, Orange?
Doing well. Having a good day.
Also joining us here is the rugged Rob Motto. How you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm toasty. I'm doing good.
Very, very toasty. Hey, apparently, this Titans scored 30 points last night for like the first time in like 2 years, which I thought was a rib until I figured out that was true, and then I was kind of, oh, that's actually kind of sad.
almost 3 years. And I mean, yeah, it's ever since like they traded away AJ Brown, it's been a dumpster fire offensively. So that's not a big surprise. How they did it is kind of amazing. That's how bad the Dolphins were. Is really and
Yeah.
if anybody watched that game, I'm very sorry. That was a like I'm a Titans
It's
fan,
rare.
and it was awful to watch that. So
It's rare when like a team scores 30 points in an NFL game and you can still legitimately say they both played horribly in the same game. So yeah, it was a
though
rough one.
I will say this, that they went for it on 4th and goal with like 20 seconds left to score a touchdown, which
Yeah.
of course got the over of 37, and everybody was hammering the under on this game because it was like it's two inept offenses. They're not going to score over 37 points, and yeah, they just we're just going to run the ball here on 4th and goal at the 2, from the 2-yard line, with even though we could take a knee or kick a field goal.
I've been saying this now for a couple of years, and like every day that goes on, I'm like even more convinced the NFL is rigged. And if it's not rigged to the point where they're like blatantly picking the winners and losers, there's blatant point shaving going on in the NFL when it comes to either the over unders or the money lines. It's like that's where all the money is at the end of the day. And yeah, I've seen a lot of decisions over the last several weeks that made me go, okay, really, of all things, because did we just have the exact same thing with like the Browns and the Cowboys just a few weeks back too, where it was like literally the exact same scenario where a guy has a wide open touchdown but decides to take a knee at the 2 and then the under just so happens to hit right at that moment. It's like I don't know about that. Speaking of rigged football games, Cider's here. How you doing, our Cider?
I am the ultimate rigger.
And riggers are really ruining our country. I think we're pretty safe to say that, right?
These damn riggers all over the place. Can't go anywhere without bumping into riggers.
Never would have lost the last election if it weren't for those damn riggers, but
exactly, those lazy riggers.
Yep.
See, they almost got away with it, but they weren't so lazy.
Nope. No motivation whatsoever.
All those last minute rigger votes,
Yep.
That's rigger time for you.
Especially all the riggers in like Chicago and like New York and Philly.
I'm too white to be throwing that word around so much. I really am. All it's going to take is one well-placed and they can pair that up with all the other ones.
Yep. I just want to see the YouTube chat.
I think you just
like
gave it to him.
Algorithm saying like, okay, what are they saying?
The white man is complaining about riggers to the black man.
Yes, because those dirty, rotten riggers were the one.
Yep. This part of the broad by the I'm done.
I'm done. Yep. It's good.
So we are here tonight on YouTube. We're also here on Rumble as well. I know Keith is joining us over there on our Rumble side of things. Shout out to Keith. Who else do we got here? We have Neozoic here saying greetings, spooky ballroom crew, ghouls, ghosts, and goblins. Yeah, still none of you guys have made the reference that the opening of our show, the opening for the ballroom, is a reference to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. And apparently, I'm the only one who remembers the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
You're not.
There are a bunch of children.
Jesus Christ, man. That was like fucking 40 years ago.
Flim Flam was in it, and he was terrible.
It was Vincent Price, damn it. How do you guys not remember Vincent Price?
Vincent Price was Flim Flam's boss.
Like, literally.
And he was extremely, extremely high strung. You remember that? You remember, Flim Flam?
To the T. To the T. Listen to this.
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth.
Come on, guys. Come on. Bunch of kids, I tell you.
It loses its magic. Is that? I was going to say, it loses its magic with Elizabeth Olsen saying it. Like it's not as creepy as that mid-Atlantic, for who shall ever open this chest? That mid-Atlantic accent. Elizabeth Olsen's like, whoever opens this fucking shit's going to get, you understand? It's over with for you and your family.
It's a millennial representation of
Yeah, there it is, the ironic representation, because that's what
you didn't have that rugged like Vietnam survivor type voice back then, like you had back in 1980.
No, we had Tamagotchi elbow. That's all that films it. Feels it. It's Tamagotchi elbow.
Yep. Neo has a question for us. He says, which classic black and white horror film or undead movie would you rather watch? Vincent Price's Last Man on Earth or Night of the Living Dead from George Romero?
Last Man on Earth.
Really? I was going to go with Night of the Living Dead.
You literally
Probably
have
go
Vincent Price cracking up on screen. Like he just straight up laughs for like 5 minutes straight.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're gonna tell me that anything in a Romero film is comparable to just the camera slowly zooming in on Vincent Price. He goes for 5 minutes. It's great.
It's almost as good as the Thriller video.
No. Michael Jackson is literally prancing around like he has to pee. You can't top that. Vincent Price is great, but you can't top Michael Jackson has to pee.
Yeah, those hip thrusts, you can't top those hip thrusts.
I'm pretty sure that in order to be in a Michael Jackson video, you had to have a full bladder. You recently, I'm glad did you write a letter?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was on my weekly recap when I was talking about Janet Jackson and whatnot. It's like I am kind of sorry that I made a lot of inappropriate jokes about Michael Jackson because I actually finally went back and I looked up a lot of the stuff. Turns out that man was not guilty of a lot of things that were claimed about him.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I have come to the same conclusion, but at the end of the day, jokes are jokes, and it matters what your intention is. You know what I mean? So,
my intentions when I made those jokes were
pure
malice.
Okay. I mean, when I do it,
to be fair,
but
you and a lot of people did think that he was a pedophile. So I mean, it would make sense for you to make such malicious jokes within that context. So.
To be fair, he did not do a lot to assuage those, okay? He did not do a hell of a lot to prove to people he was not doing... He had a Nazi memorabilia collection. Like, you just got that kid thing over your head, but let's add, like, the Hitler love on top of it. You know what's going to be a great idea, guys? We're going to walk around with red armbands on. It's going to be great, everybody. We put Michael on the side of it, tilted a little bit. It'd be perfect.
It's like, no, guys, I don't like the Nazi. I just really like their fashion. I just like the crossing. It's like,
Hugo Boss is my favorite fashion company. I won't tell you why.
Hey, rich weirdos collect all kinds of things, right?
It's true.
Yep. I don't know.
It's true. Ben Franklin collected people.
I probably prefer the what is it? I Am Legend, the original I Am Legend with Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth. Just because I love those, they're almost overly theatrical Vincent Price, Roger Corman horror movies. Even the stuff that's like, the Mask of the Red Death, stuff like that. So,
very good choice.
And I've never been a big like zombie movie fan, and I know George A. Romero is supposed to be the king with Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. They do nothing for me. I don't know what it is, but I definitely liked them when I was growing up, though.
Romero's horror lets your Romero lets your horror imagination take over. He doesn't show you the guts being pulled out of somebody. He gives you the noises and the reactions to that, and your brain is doing the connecting of what that looks like. So the horror is kind of jacked up because he's not going to be able to show you anything that's going to scare you as much as your brain. So,
well, I would agree with you in Night of the Living Dead, the one that came out in the late 60s. Dawn of the Dead was incredibly graphic, where they're grabbing the intestines out of the body cavity or whatever. Like that one definitely did do that. But yeah, I would agree with you overall. George A. Romero definitely works on a psychological level.
Eddie, have you ever seen the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo?
Oh, absolutely. That's where Scrappy Doo and Scooby and that weird Indian kid that was not Haji.
Yeah,
Flim Flam. I thought he was Mexican.
He was Mexican. Oh yeah, that's right. He was Mexican.
Yeah,
was he Mexican?
Like Vincent Price hiring Mexican 12-year-olds to do his bidding. It tracks.
Absolutely. Darkness falls on the land.
We'll ask somebody in the chat to do some research. We'll ask somebody in the chat to do a fact check on the race of Flim Flam from 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
I loved that cartoon because they had Daphne wear her hair all the way down. She really looked really sophisticated.
There was no Fred, there was no Vilma. It was just Daphne, Shaggy, and the Indian kid the whole way.
And they had a crazy fire truck bus van thing that had like crazy utility shit on board.
And they had 2 ghosts that were essentially the equivalent of Bulk and Skull. So I mean, there was that as well.
That's right, Laurel and Hardy guys. Yeah,
Lurky and Jerky.
Yes. Bonus question from Neozoic here: which clown is scarier, the Joker or Pennywise's It? Now, obviously, scarier wise would be Pennywise since he's actually like a space demon from hell.
And
But at the same time, the Joker has a way higher body count than Pennywise. So it's like, are we going based on like feats, or are we going based on attributes?
With a cosmic spider clown or just an insane asshole with a gun, I think I'm gonna be more afraid of the giant space spider clown. The same, I think.
My
Even
answer
more like
is a different variant of the Joker known as the Batman Who Laughs. Because that's Batman as a Joker-esque character. You don't want to fuck with them.
Well, Batman's already a psychopath. If we're being completely honest with ourselves. I mean, he basically just goes around beating the crap out of people
and make him now take Bruce Wayne and make it or infect him with Joker or with Joker toxin.
Mm-hmm.
He has. You know how the Joker has those hyenas? Well,
yes.
Batman Who Laughs has 3 kid Robins on a leash that are insane, like the hyenas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he's Harvey Weinstein. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, I was gonna say Bryan Singer, but that's also a
Just
good
without
Hey, that's better. That's better.
Just without the perversion, but yeah, just without the perversion. But it's like
But that's
this-
a different
Without, I don't
Just-
think
Brian was
without. I
thinking
think they
did
just
it.
didn't put it in the comic.
Bryan Singer's a
the
different
first
franchise.
thing he did was kill the Justice League. That's the first thing
Yeah,
he did.
Bryan Singer is literally Marvel.
Right.
Bryan Singer is in the Marvel universe. Who else do we have here? Leslie's joining us here tonight. Also saying,
I'll
go
pick
ahead.
John. I'll pick John Wayne Gacy. He seemed pretty terrifying, and he was a clown. So
I want to say it's not like basically Wolverine without the healing factor, or
It's said
I
that
hope
he's had the
everybody is,
largest
you
meetup
know.
of Boy Scouts from his state in his basement. So, I mean, that's pretty charitable of a guy, you know?
I'm sure he has.
Well, let's not forget the
I'm sure he has
shit
games
that
and
James Gunn
puzzles.
has done either.
Puzzles,
Oh,
that's
Guy
for sure,
currently
Eddie.
heading
Puzzles,
DC.
yep.
oh yeah, we'll get around the James Gunn here in a second as well. I don't think Rob ever asked the question, or he cares to ask between Joker and Pennywise.
Yeah, I don't care.
Fair enough. Leslie just wants everyone to keep prayers for the people who were affected by the hurricane. Yeah, so the hurricane hit here about last week. I was kind of sort of in the direct path of it, but it was mostly just rain. Like, we didn't get any high winds or anything like that, but obviously there was a lot of other people who got really hammered. Our good buddy John down in Jacksonville had some wind damage to his place, so he's still cleaning his stuff up over like a week later, so he got hit pretty hard around there. But yeah, just a lot of crazy things happening, you know, especially in the southern states. Then with the whole shipping strike, all I have to say is that if you haven't gone to the grocery store recently, you probably want to load up and get some groceries in the next 24 hours while they're still relatively cheap. So that would be my forewarning for you guys. Doba Fett here saying howdy to you as well, Doba Fett. Who else do we have here? Vanya saying, rest in peace to Mr. Mutombo. Yeah, Dikembe Mutombo died of brain cancer. He was like 58 years old, I believe. But yeah, legendary NBA player passed away, I think it was a couple days ago, or at least yesterday. So who else do we have here? Doba Fett says, I'm watching this in the slasher film right now. Oh, wait, I mean the vice president debate. Yeah, I've already heard some very interesting things about the vice president debate. So, no, we'll check that in later on here
Walls
tonight.
is losing it right now. He can't keep his composure.
He never can. Waves his fucking hands around all the time. Take it from a guy who also waves his hands around all the fucking time.
Like I said, I
Okay.
just don't know how anyone can support this clown show ticket. But go ahead.
That's the Frenchman in you, though, Rob. I got it, too. A bit of Italia going on there. He has dick in him that's causing it.
That's
Oh,
true.
okay.
It's just nothing but jazz hands.
It is. Yeah. That's Spirit Fingers if I ever saw him.
We're gonna replace some of those names too, and it's gonna be super accurate. Vanya says, "Can I be in the intro?" Well, considering the fact I don't know what you look like, and the answer is no. But if you send me a face reveal, maybe later. But no, I don't know about that. Dark comedy then. Yeah, Cider is still glamored by Punisher Cassie in our intro as well. So it's still a thing. Who else do we have here? Maury says the NFL is definitely rigged. I mean, how do you explain Tom Brady winning 7 consecutive Super Bowls? Now, here's my other little conspiracy theory, and I wish I had a conspiracy theory music to play right now, but I don't. So the best thing I have here is this. But conspiracy theory here. So Tom Brady did an interview years and years ago when he was still with Giselle, and he was sitting down there. He was admitting essentially that Giselle was doing witchcraft rituals before all of his games, and that's why he was so good. And I find it very hilarious that the year that he divorced Giselle was his final year in Tampa Bay, where he had arguably one of his worst seasons as a pro. So was his success actually due to witchcraft? I think there's something to it there. That's all I have to support that theory. So you take that as you will.
Is that the theme of the Midnight Express?
No. That's the theme of Ghost to Ghost, Coast to Coast Radio with Art Bell. Anyway, guys, what are we doing? But yeah, no. So Grok in the early stages revealed that the NFL is not a sports organization. It's actually an entertainment organization, which legally allows them to fix the game. So there you go. Grok just said that. Grok just out and out let everybody know that. Just da-da. That's what's going on.
And really, it's because if the secret ever does get out that, some funny business is going on there, they can just say, oh, well, we listed as entertainment. You guys should have known that already.
Exactly.
So technically, it's your fault.
When it's not, all of them are. They're not sports organizations. As soon as you know that, NASCAR, MLB, any of the NBA, all of them. As soon as you understand that they're not sports organizations, they're not playing fair. It's very simple.
Yep.
Which is why they should bring back steroids immediately for every one of these sports organizations.
Who says they're not? They're just not reporting us the levels, The
NFL has never went away from steroids. It's just that certain whatever. They have a system
I want
where
more
they
steroids
get around it.
Yeah, it's
if you
called
get
HGH.
ridiculous
That's all you gotta
looking,
do,
they gotta call you out. I mean, I guess that's probably the rule. Is that when you finally just when you're like that Brock guy with your neck that just goes straight to your ears. There's just ears right down. Right, Barry Bonds, yeah. You have forearms the size of your neck. People they kind of get a little suspicious. But up until then, you're okay to juice. But when you start looking like the Hulk, they gotta call you out and do something about it.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the pictures of a young Brock Lesnar? Yeah, there's a guy. You should. I'm pretty sure they didn't drug test.
Look at The Rock.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't think that it's totally normal for a guy to bulk up to 300 pounds of muscle in his 40s and 50s?
Right. He went on the Adkins, man. He went on the Adkins.
He just started pumping the weights really, really hard, man.
12,000 calories.
Point shaving was literally the plot of the Adam Sandler movie, The Longest Yard. Good movie, by the way. Yep. Who else do we have here? Society. I said I didn't watch Scooby-Doo in the 70s because I grew up with the 2000s. The new Scooby-Doo is also a great TV show. Christian here saying that National Felony League that's Carl from from what was his name? Adventure Time would always say. Who we have here? DK's joining us here. Brock Lesnar was on the vitamins when the cops pulled him over that one time. Oh yeah. So there's another guy who, like I said, if you guys remember going all the way back to like WrestleMania, was it 19, where Brock watched a shooting star press and like landed on his neck, like literally would have like killed anyone else in that scenario, but it's like his neck muscles was like so massive that
his neck muscle was literally a car bumper.
Yeah, it's like literally the only thing that saved him during that time period. And
Brock Lesnar's neck muscles are like what I don't know, like 58% of his entire body mass.
Yeah, this is what prime Brock Lesnar looked like back in the day.
Dude, look at the shocks on that transmission there. All right,
I ain't got no neck. I ain't got no neck, Judge. Ain't got no neck.
That's a great picture of Paulie too. That's a great
back when he still had hair.
That's a great picture. Look at him. God damn, he has muscles within the muscles. It's all layered.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar was the guy they tried to build when it was like, well, no, Rock's in Hollywood and Steve Austin's about beating his wife, so we need somebody to carry the company, damn it. And we're gonna go with this 20-year-old kid that no one's ever heard of, but he looks like a freak, so we're putting the belt on him. So
You look like a genetic reject. Do you want to be famous?
you look like one of those Captain America experiments that actually succeeded. You wanted the belt.
Yeah, you were the super soldier that wanted to hurt people.
Right, 6'6", 350 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. I think at the time he was like 295, which is just like ridiculous.
Okay.
And make it even more scary. He's like he moved like a lightweight, even with all that size. So-
Yeah. Because
Okay,
shooting
we
stars
should-
used to be nothing to him.
We should literally be hiring people only that look like and are built like Brock Lesnar to be police officers, because crime would go down eventually.
yeah. Can you imagine like a fucking 300-pound muscle man who ran like Usain Bolt chasing you down the street?
I don't
Right.
want to. That's terrifying.
You have like that the mountain from Game of Thrones, and he's just in a uniform, and he's like, "Hey, I understand you've been jaywalking."
Right.
like
Did you see the crosswalk over there?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
like by the way, have you seen Brock Lesnar's daughter? It's like her mother's
So
genes didn't even
unfortunate.
try. Her mother's dreams didn't even try.
She's pile drived hers.
Like it literally,
Uh-huh.
it's like, come on now. It's like
He's-
Brock could not win a DNA test if he tried.
He
Like, he has no
Benedict-
shot.
He Benedict the hell out of her eggs.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's a Benedict Arnold right there, right? Yeah.
oh my goodness.
yeah. The
Well-
judge would throw you in jail for even attempting to get out of that paternity suit. Oh boy. Well, I guess we should all keep this whole thing going on with sports and talking about lesbians. Let's go to the WNBA to start off tonight here, because what happened last week was very, very hilarious and sad because, well, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are now out. They lost the first round of the WNBA playoffs. Pretty solid run for a rookie. She definitely came in her own late in the season. One rookie of the year running away with it. Wasn't even close. I think she even finished fourth in the MVP all overall this year. So she had a pretty solid season. But, of course, the league hates her and the people in the league hates her. So you know what the WNBA decided to do an hour after they were knocked out of the postseason? They released this message condemning the fans that Caitlin Clark has brought into the WNBA. This is an official statement from the WNBA that was posted on their Twitter account. No joke, about an hour after the Fever lost. It says this: the WNBA is a competitive league with some of the most elite athletes in the world. And while we are welcoming a growing fan base, the WNBA will not tolerate racist, derogatory, and threatening comments made about players, teams, and anyone affiliated with the league. League security is actively monitoring threat-related activity, will work directly with teams and arenas to take appropriate measures to involve even law enforcement as necessary. So everyone, when they read this, was kind of like, what the hell is this all about? It's like there was no reported incident of anything racist going on here. So it's like, why did they post this whole statement? Well, over the course of literally the next 24 hours afterward, one player after another wanted everyone to know what a victim they are, because they're dealing with racist comments thanks to these new fans that Caitlin Clark has brought in. So here is, what's her name? Alyssa Thomas, talking about how she's had to suffer through racism thanks to the new Caitlin Clark fans that have come into the WNBA over the last year.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. And basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world, and
So again, there was asked the question, what was it that actually sparked any of this? What was these racial comments that were being held? And of course, there was absolutely no evidence to support anything being said here whatsoever, but that didn't stop anyone from spreading said rumors or said lies, if you want to call it that. And then, of course, our own favorite, Bob Greiner, went and talked about some of the racism that she Question mark has received. Thanks to the new fans of the WNBA. So here's Bobby G.
So we're close. We're real close. I know I feel my body feels better. Feel better about the game, but it's not that 2020.
How do you feel about what has happened over the past year with the W since you first came in to where it is now? And obviously the game has grown and there's new fans, but how do you appreciate the new fans without all the noise that's come
I don't
with
appreciate the
them?
new fans that sit there and yell racial slurs at myself, my teammates, and the people that I play against. Because those might be opponents, but
Again, no one can find a single video of anyone from the Indiana Fever team throwing any racial slurs at any of the players. We live in the age of like social media where like thousands of people come to an arena and they all have cell phones on them. So you think that there was horrific racial abuse going on here, that at least one of those fans would have recorded it and it would have been on the internet. But we have yet to see any evidence to support such a claim anywhere at all whatsoever.
those are friends too. They don't deserve that. So I don't appreciate the new fans. I think it's okay to do that. But I do appreciate the new fans.
Keep in mind, keep everyone saying it's the new fans' fault. The new fans are the problem. It's not the old fans of the WNBA, the ones that don't exist. It's the new fans that are coming here that are ruining everything. They're the problems here. And then this all accumulated in this article from Anscape. I wonder if I can even read this because I haven't even checked if like this is a paid site or anything like that. Okay, so literally it's not. Some person called Frankie Della, it doesn't matter. This person went to the Connecticut Suns game when they were playing the Indiana Fever and wrote an entire article about how threatened they felt going to a Fever game with all the new fans that have came in. And it says, here's a great kicker to this whole thing. It's like, I've never felt anything but safe, welcome, and celebrated at a WNBA game until Wednesday night. The crowd attending game 2 of the first round matchup between the Connecticut Stars and the Indiana Fever felt different and not in a good way. Even though I'm a veteran sports writer, I was not credentials as a press member for this one, probably because they don't have press members for WNBA. It said that I attended the game as a fan with my partner. Spoiler alert, this person's gay. So just in case you guys didn't realize that there's a gay person writing this. After I arrived, I quickly noticed the crowd seemed to be rooting for the visiting team, the Fever. Yeah, that's who people paid tickets to see. They didn't pay tickets to see the Connecticut Sun. No one cares about the Sun. I hate to break that to you. But most of the people seated around me were Fever fans, and most of them were decked out in Fever Against and Caitlin Clark gear. He says, but this didn't bother me, but it surprised me. I heard the written Caitlin Clark effect all season, but this is the first time seeing it in action. Really? You don't have Twitter? Like, you didn't see all the sold-out arenas and shows throughout the entire season? You just didn't see that? As someone who spent the better part of the last decade trying to tell anyone who listens how great the WNBA is, it's not great. Even with Caitlin Clark, it's still not great. I am thrilled that more people are jumping on board, but very quickly something started feeling off. Tonight, I felt very uncomfortable, a Suns fan who's been attending games since 2018 said. It was disappointing to see so many people from the area come out to support the opposing team. And on top of that, they had some kind of a vitriol for our players that had racial undertones, whatever that means. Weinstein was with the game with their husband. I don't know if that's like a their like non-binary there, but that's so. They said they're both people of color, and well, answer the question right away. It says Weinstein is queer and agender. So I'm noticing a trend here of the people who are whining about the basketball game here. I'm noticing a trend, but as a result, I didn't feel safe challenging the nasty behavior from people around me. It says the game continued. The woman behind me says she has seen Suns guard Dejanay Carrington, who has one of the women who hates Caitlin Clark, even poked her in the eye a few weeks back. That's the whole thing that happened. Became greasily outraged by it. And then when Carrington fell to the ground, she cited, "Why did you? What did you trip over your eyelashes?" So apparently a fan said that, "What, did you trip over your fake eyelashes?" It was at the point that my partner asked, "Are you going to be racist for the entire game?" She huffed and puffed for a bit and then quieted down. I highly doubt that happened, by the way. I highly doubt any of this it really truly happened. And then I noticed a woman standing up and dancing to the music 2 sections over with her shirt saying "Band Nails," and she was wearing a cartoonishly long fake acrylic nail that was made out of paper hands. It was clear they were mocking Kerrigan, yeah, because she literally poked Caitlin Clark in the eye. That's why she wore the shirt. And there were several "Make America Great Again" hats that a man was wearing that said Trump 2024. And it's like, "Make basketball great again." For every time the Fever scored, the crowd will erupt. But it didn't feel like the fans were rooting for their team. It felt like a threat. And there was an ominous feel in the building. Like, literally, this is the type of stuff that we can use in like movies these days, because this type of fiction writing that for people like this is like the drama, the tension, all the characters. Like, that should literally be the next M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's like a bunch of lesbians trying to survive a WNBA game with MAGA hats in the crowd. It's like that's a great whole thing.
Don't forget the public lynching in the parking lot after the game. That's right. MAGA hats will be handed out. Torches and flaming crosses are your responsibility to bring, though. Bring your own cross.
And then all of a sudden, everyone in the crowd starts chanting, "Jump down, get around, pick a pallet of cotton," and which is kind of weird how racist all these fans were.
When
We
they
were
started
watching the
going,
game, and when they scored, when the Fever scored, the Megatron read, "Kill 'em all."
Wow.
and then everyone in the crowd start chanting, "Ooga booga, clap 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 clap."
ooga tugga, ooga tugga.
Yes, bring your own cross so you can nail yourself to it. This is just victim behavior. It's just like, we're the victim of these. They're like, there were things said. It's like, which you can't name. Give me an example. Tell me the date it happened. Tell me what section it came from. You play enough at these places, you can identify that. Security can identify that. They have video cameras. Tell me, where did it come from? Where can we look at this? I mean, let me tell you, by the way, arenas are only going to become more surveilled. I'm creeped out by this, where they're notifying people that, oh yeah, we're basically recording you everywhere you go.
No, a lot of the modern arenas, and they've already showed this like in the last couple of years, the modern arenas, like they have like AI in the arenas where they can like literally facially scan anyone who's in there's like 20,000 people in the arena. They can facially scan every single person in the arena to find somebody if they really wanted to. They already have that technology now.
But this reminds me of like the Jussie Smollett thing, which, by the way, he gave an interview to People, which it was just this cupcake interview where he still says that, the thing really happened. It wasn't a hoax. It was just like, so, and I know this is the other spectrum we're talking about, not gay men. But this is like, we feel alienated by this new presence, and we're going to drum up some fake screenshots of comments we've gotten, and but it's like anybody can create a fake account on a social media site. That's not proof. That's not, I mean, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, and I said this on Twitter, which got a lot more response than I ever thought it would, which is this like, outstanding, I forget what it literally was, but outstanding claims require outstanding evidence, which is like, if you're going to claim this big thing happened and that you're this victim of all this hatred, where's the proof? Where's the proof? I mean, we believe we're a transparent society. We believe people when they claim something, but you have to back it up. There has to be some kind of evidence to support the claim, and there really isn't here. Caitlin Clark brought a whole new bunch of people to your sport, to your league. It was destitute. It was reliant on it still is reliant on the NBA, but it was costing the NBA just to run you guys out there every single year because so few people cared. And all this is jealousy. All this is, and it's a rookie that's doing this. She's not a 3, 4, 5-year-old veteran who's been in the league a while. Like, she's out there, she's doing her thing, she's getting better every game. She had a great first season. I hate that I'm talking about women's basketball right now, a sport I'll never watch, but it's like, you have to look at the facts. The WNBA has been a kind of annoying thing that's existed since the 90s, and it's always been a joke. But it's like that thing in The Office. It's like I love sports and I love jokes. The NBA, the WNBA. So I mean, it'll always kind of be like that for me. But hey, if you actually have a star that brings money into the league, you should be thanking her. You should be welcoming her in, because that's the future. What you guys want to go back to not making any money and flying on fucking, non-charter I don't know what it is. Charter
You want to
flight,
go back to
non-charter flight.
Spirit? You
Yeah,
want to go back to
exactly.
Spirit?
So I think the whole thing is kind of ridiculous, and this defensive sort of alienated performance these women are putting on is just like hilarious. I don't buy it for 1 second.
Yeah, Eddie, what's your take on this with the WNBA whining about their new fans?
I think it's a really great thing that Caitlin Clark is Rookie of the Year, and she deserves it. She's absolutely fantastic. The first lesbian that was talking, not the butch one, the first one, was she a teammate of Caitlin?
No, I think that she was an opposing player. I gotta
Okay.
go back and make sure, but yeah, I don't think she was a teammate.
I want to take some time to tell the teammates of Caitlin Clark the Indiana favor and everything. I don't watch women's basketball, but I appreciate women going out there and doing a sport. I think that's fine. Being said, ladies, you need to go out there and you need to start slugging some people for your fucking teammate. I don't want her getting poked in the eye anymore. She shouldn't be being thrown on the ground anymore. You all should be acting like the football players that you are and blocking and throwing elbows and trying to get as many sucker punches as you can next season. Because if you want to win a championship, that's apparently what you're going to have to do in order to get past the playoffs in this league. Apparently now that you have the race label being put on you. So you might as well fall into it. I know there's some black people there's some black women that work for the Indiana Fever. Ladies, it's time for you to start digging into your inner black lady and start slugging them in. Really fucking start laying it in. You really should.
I just want to address this real quick before I go to Owen Chat. Spirit actually doesn't have affordable flights. The reason why they make people think that they do is that they take away the baggage fees out of the actual price of the flight. When you insert the baggage fees into the flight, you're basically paying the exact same amount you pay like on Delta. And trust me, you might as well just fly Delta at that point.
Delta, you pay $500. You can put as much baggage as you want.
And you get movies. You get to watch all the like the little. That's why I fly Delta personally.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead, Orange.
Well, in comparison to what the foolish people of the WNBA have said, and I thought my jokes were bad, because honestly, they have nothing to bitch over. They make these baseless claims without any proof. That's just the normal go-to that they do, because they're a bunch of talentless hacks in which a rookie came in, schooled the fuck out of all of them, and they couldn't handle it. Now, I actually been paying attention to the whole Caitlin Clark thing, as well as the Chicago Sky. Yeah. It turns out 80% of the fouls in the WNBA, Chicago Sky, about 80% of that 80% was perpetrated against Caitlin Clark. That should seriously raise some red flags. That should seriously get some investigations going in the WNBA, but it's not going to happen because you know what? They can't handle the fact that a woman who is white, who's Christian and straight, they could not handle that a person that humble, because yeah, she is humble. She plays the game for the game. She loves the game. Yes, she does yes, she does have the endorsements and stuff behind her, but she doesn't let it go to her head. She wants to play the game. They couldn't handle it. And so after Dijanai Carrington or whatever the fuck her name is, assaulted Caitlin Clark, trying to gouge out her eye, essentially, because yeah, I saw from multiple angles that little foul that she didn't get fouled for. Honestly, she should be expelled from the WNBA, because what that was an actual attack. Now, I will disagree or agree to disagree with Caitlin Clark there, because she says it wasn't an attack. It's like, sorry, honey, you were in the middle of that game, that moment, but going for what body language suggests and also gives away, that woman assaulted you. And if these people want to complain, say, "Oh, we got a bunch of new fans that are nothing but a bunch of fucking racists and homophobes and whatnot because they can't or they don't like any of the black players and they're calling them," fucking prove it or shut the fuck up. Because here's another thing. Now that Caitlin Clark's out of the WNBA, her season is done, your ratings are going to plummet. The fans weren't the fans of the WNBA. The fans were the fans of Caitlin Clark. And now that she is out, now that you all have got what you wanted, fuck your ratings. Because Caitlin Clark is the best thing that could have happened to the WNBA, and y'all treated her like shit. Honestly, if I was her, I'd say, you know what? I think I will play in Europe for the European circuit. And I think I will just move over there because, honestly, I didn't feel very welcome here. I love my teammates. I love how they made me feel welcome. But an entire corporation treated me as if I was a cancer. And if they really want to be like that, then I will go somewhere where I will be appreciated. I will play on a different circuit.
Well, that's the worst case scenario. It's like, her going to like Italy or Russia or whatever the country she can go to where she's actually loved, and she gets to a point it's like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed this, and now I have to go back to the WNBA where I have to lick the boot of like black women and lesbians and all this other nonsense. So there's two things going on here. The first one is that, like I said, the WNBA, both the organization itself and the players of the WNBA, they hate the fact that Caitlin Clark is bringing in fans that are not their typical WNBA fan base. They're upset that this used to be a game just for, the they, thems and the lesbians and the queers and all this other stuff. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, all these normies are coming around here and they're all cheering for the other team. They're not cheering for the team that I like. And I don't like the fact that they're taking over my niche sport and trying to turn it into a mainstream thing, even though this is what they've been trying to do for 30 years now. So for them to come out and literally do a full-fledged attack on the very fan base that has made them more money and make them as popular as they've ever been. Like they've never been this popular at any point in their inception. Even with all the players they want to talk about right now, it's like these fans are actually making them relevant, and they have the audacity to come out an hour after the feeder was eliminated and start attacking the very fan base that came in and made them relevant the entire season. That's really shitty in and of itself. But here's the other thing that's going on is that the reason why they hate Caitlin Clark so much is that Caitlin Clark hasn't licked the boot of the black lesbians in the NBA like some of the other women have, and that's where the really point of contention here. I want to play this video just real quick. This is something that went viral a couple of days ago. This is Kelsey Plum, who's one of the big stars in the WNBA. Now, this is from about a while ago. Like, this wasn't like recent, but this is going viral because of the conversation. You wonder, well, why is Kelsey Plum not getting as much hate? Caitlin Clark, she's white too. Well, she knows how to lick the boot and acknowledge her privilege, quote unquote. Here's this video.
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
Yes, you white girl, you understand your privilege and how to help the black woman. That's why we like you better than we like Caitlin Clark. And the name that they mentioned there earlier, Paige Beckers, and this is what's going to happen here because no one's going to care about what happens in WNBA this season. The season is over at this point for the most part. Next season, the number one pick looks like it's going to be Paige Beckers. It's the girl from UConn. And then she's going to come into the league, and what they're going to do, and I'm going to tell you this several months out, because this is what's going to happen. They're going to put Paige Beckers up as their kind of white pony and have her go against Caitlin Clark and her fan base, because unlike Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers will go out there and she will understand her privilege and look the boot of the black woman. Here's what Paige Beckers said.
She will understand her place.
Quite literally, here's what she said a couple of years ago at the ESPYs, and this is why they love Paige so much, because she knows how to lower herself as a white woman.
With the life that I have now, as a white woman who leads a black-led sport, and celebrated. Here, I want to show a light on Black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve.
Even that lady's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Have you ever seen a Waffle House?
Community and society as a whole, and their value is undeniable. And in the WNBA last season, the postseason awards, 80% of the winners were Black, but they got half the coverage as the white athletes. So I think it's time for change. Sports media holds the key to storylines. Sports media and sponsors tell us who is valuable, and you have told the world that I matter today, and everyone who voted, thank you. But I think we should use this power together to also celebrate Black women.
Say the word again.
So to Maria Taylor, Robin Roberts, Maya Moore, Odyssey Alexander, to all the incredible Black women in my life on my
There
team,
it is.
to Breonna Taylor and all the lives lost, and to those names who have not yet learned.
No,
but I hope
Breonna
to share.
Taylor.
Breonna Taylor? Who did she play for?
Follow you and follow your lead and
She's
fight for you
champion
guys.
baseball
So
player.
I just want to say thank you for everything.
Yeah, so she's going to be the one that the media absolutely loves next year when she comes into the WNBA. Like I said, she's going to lick the boot, and she'll spend the entire time licking the boot. Every single post-game interview she'll do next year, it's all about, well, as a white woman, I understand my privilege, and we need to uplift, the Black women in our league, especially the ones in the LGBTQ. It's going to be an insufferable puke fest with this woman when she comes in next year, and they're going to use her to build up the pressure on Caitlin Clark and be like, well, Paige is making all these statements about Black women and lesbians. Why isn't Clark using her privilege to do the same thing? And it's going to be, this league wants to break Caitlin Clark to either get her to submit and sell herself like Paige Becker's here, or to get her out of the league. That's what they're intentionally trying to do here. And this is why the WNBA is not a real league. It's a complete clown show.
So what you're saying is that this Paige Beckers is the white savior that
Yes.
the WNBA has been looking for. She will lead the people into the promised land
with less money. Yes.
She will lead those Black lesbians to the promised land with her privilege. She's going to use herself as a shield so that everyone else can,
White guilt is amazing. I'm just marvel at this. There's not much I could add since I don't even follow the NBA and really don't care about basketball since I'm too short to play. I will just say that I don't know what all these other players really think, that all of these people will go to the games just to yell racist, sexist things. I mean, that seems a waste of even their time if they really think that they're going to invest that much time or interest for this person. That, and I'm also depressed that Brittany Griner has a deeper voice than I do. So that I don't know. That just depresses me to no end. That
she's taller than you too.
She is taller. Well, she's taller than both.
Her
of us.
dick's bigger than yours too.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, objectively, she's probably bigger than mine too. You gotta be honest here.
Oh, all right, thank you. But I'm just puzzled. I'm puzzled as to why they have this. I know why they have the antagonism, or at least I presume it's because she's white, she's straight, she's not into the wokeness. But that's really, what was that? What is it, to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs? Is that the expression? I do not understand it. They really need to get over themselves. Nobody was paying attention. Now they are. I'm not saying that they should all go down and bow down to her and say, "Oh, thank you." But at the same time, just let her play. Let her rise and fall based on her abilities. The same as all these other players. I don't know of anyone who really cared until now, and now they're saying, "Oh no, we can't care." It's all hatred. It's all jealousy.
You gotta understand, women's sports are not about competition. There's absolutely nothing to do with the even playing field. That's actually kind of the opposite of how they like it, in fact. So don't assume that anybody's here to compete for legitimate reasons. It's definitely a popularity contest between alpha lesbians. And the problem with Caitlin Clark is she's not in on those rings of Saturn, you understand? So that's why she's the problem, is she's not running around licking things that she's supposed to. Meanwhile, you've got Boobless there saying, hey, all these Black women are Black womening all over the Black women's sport. it as hard as she can because she's all about licking those things. So that's the thing you've got going on here is that people are not interested in the sport. They're interested in the popularity contest that they get to go up to Shaq and say, I do what you do, but with girl power.
But the thing is, they're not popular. I don't understand that.
But that's
I
what's
don't quite
interesting about it is that it's almost like the celebrity culture that nobody gives a shit about. It's kind of interesting. It's like, wait, so you have this like little niche like world where you want to pat yourself on the back for, hey, I grabbed 12 rebounds. Yes, and you shot 2 of 16 from the field. So you know what I mean? While being right at the fucking net, you fucking loser. What I find so hilarious about this is Paige Buckers is basically being set up to be who they accused Caitlin Clark of being. Of like, you're bringing all, you're our, we don't want a white representative.
She's the great white hope.
You do now? You want a white representative to sort of like project your phony fucking racial tokenism bullshit? Like it just, because that's all this is.
We
It's
have
just-
our
it's like,
own white
we're-
girl now.
Who's going to be the whipping
these women
girl?
talk ability. What they really mean is superiority. I want to
Mhm.
remain a victim and pretend that everything is always racist and things haven't improved and that we still live in Jim Crow.
It's almost like they're women.
Let me make a parallel here to Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
Oh,
Caitlin Clark is
okay.
essentially Sonic the Hedgehog, and the WNBA is Dr. Robotnik. So now they're going to create their
Altogether.
own segment, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Paige Buckers is basically Metal Sonic. So there we are.
Now, where did the MPreg porn come into this?
That's Rule 34. We don't
Oh,
acknowledge
okay.
it. That's
Too far.
non-canon.
Too far.
That's
Sorry,
non-canon.
Reel it back in.
I'd like to point out that if we want to actually save the WNBA and we actually want to save women's basketball and actually give a crap about it, we could do exactly what baseball, football, and all the other sports have done, and have these girls take steroids.
They're already taking steroids.
I want Caitlin Clark on steroids. I want her to. I really do. I want her to start laying in the fucking. Give her a couple of those JBL clotheslines, those clotheslines from hell every single time they try to come up on. That's what we need. That's what Caitlin Clark really needs.
Caitlin Clark's gonna start Roid Ranger and then like ripping out girls' eyes.
Yeah, there's that one thing. I don't know if it's the same year Caitlin Clark played or not, but there's that one UConn speech from the coach. He's screaming, I thought the reason I was supposed to draft basketball players, not football players, because they were just tossing UConn around. That's what needs to happen in the WNBA. We got to start getting some bigger girls in there to start, laying suplexes in.
It is interesting that you have this person, Caitlin Clark, who is kind of bouncing off a bit of what Rob said. She is entering their space, and now they are so enraged by it, and more enraged that she's bringing in the audiences, all of whom are racist, apparently, and all of whom are sexist, and all of whom are homophobic.
This is America country.
Does their money spend? I wonder.
Yes,
Wonder if their money spends.
They're spending those $20.
But by the way, like I didn't even address like the obvious, hilarity in the fact that the person who wrote that article, that Mark who wrote the article, is literally trying to be like, "Oh my God, all these racist Trump supporters in Connecticut just showed up and took over the entire." This is weird how that happened.
Were those the same people that all jumped Jussie Smollett over in Chicago at like 3 a.m, screaming how Chicago is MAGA?
This is Caitlin Clark country.
Yeah, Jussie Smollett's attacker started a cult and they moved to Connecticut to grow its fellowship.
Yeah. Because that's where you go. The thing that bothers me the most about this whole thing, right? Not even I'm not even kidding you, is what it sets up for young women coming up. Okay? Granted, I don't care about WNBA whatsoever, but it keeps a lot of young people out of drugs, same way it does for young men. It gives these girls something to do with themselves and aspire towards. Whether millions of people tune in to watch it or not, it's something that they derive value from that keeps them out of trouble. And this attitude is telling them that the game doesn't matter. Getting good at it doesn't matter. Being aggressive about how you play it matters. And that's no bueno. That's not going to help anything. No matter if this sport becomes very popular or not, it's going to become WWE. And not in the good way. It's going to be real fights, real backstage drama, real people getting run over by real limousines.
But you have to understand, Cider, that these WNBA players have it worse than when you had legalized segregation. They have it worse
true.
than when they were forced
Caitlin
into
Clark has to use a
forced
different water
slavery.
fountain. You're right.
Yes.
But by the way, and I just want to point this out to the woman we played earlier, Kelsey Plum, who sat there and had her teammate tell her that the only reason why she's relevant because of her white privilege. This is Kelsey Plum's career highlight in awards. Keep in mind, she was the leading scorer in college history before Caitlin Clark came around. She's won multiple championships all over the world, and she still has like multiple college basketball records. She had multiple college basketball. I actually think she still does, at least in Washington. She still has lots of records there, and she literally sat there and let some black girl run her accomplishments down. It's like, oh yeah, but you were just here because of white privilege. It's like this is where they want you to go. They're quite literally trying to buck break these white girls into submitting to the rainbow boot of the WNBA.
Again,
it's just like,
it's because it's their space. How dare all of these women enter their space? I don't know whether it has to do with their race, whether it has to do with their sexual orientation, what have you. It's their space. And you, Jacob, and you, Rob, you're the bigger sports people, and all of us, really, we should all be flocking to go to the WNBA games because they are there. It is thoroughly egocentric. They believe that they be the draw. And that's why they are so angry that this one particular girl is the draw, not them. And they should be the ones.
What makes no sense is they talk all the time about as if they represent Black America. I mean, they make, I don't know, at least and granted, I'm poking fun here. They don't make that much money, but they still make 2 times, 3 times, 3.5 times more than the average Black American does. And the fact that they can act so entitled when all of this is about what you can do on the court, what you bring to the table financially to your team, to the league itself. And it's like, I don't understand that. I don't understand the entitlement. It's like you were nowhere before, and now you're getting perks because of this woman, because of what she brings to the league. And you know what I mean? It's like the most selfish, narcissistic, just sort of projecting out your own wounded sense of pride, which is hilarious because you don't have anything to be prideful of. You were in a shit league that nobody cared about, and for the most part people still don't, but you've made these gigantic improvements almost overnight, so please don't ruin it for your own sake. You know what I mean? It's in their own, and I said this before, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's in their own benefit to welcome Caitlin Clark with open arms and embrace the new fans, which this whole thing about we're going to make money off the division of white and Black America. It's like, really? Are you that fucking stupid?
It's a case of cutting your nose to spite your face. They just cannot tolerate someone else who is of a different race and more than likely a different sexual orientation being the draw. Because again, it's about them.
I'll let Cider get the last word here.
So what I'm hearing, fellas, is that Russia, Korea, best Korea, not that other one, best Korea, and Japan need to get together with Caitlin Clark and other like-minded lady basketball players and put together a sexy basketball show, right? Like they play basketball, but it's like,
like
right?
if they had,
I think I'm hearing that.
Think about it like this.
I can enjoy that.
Think about it like this. Like if they
in.
had a solid basketball league in Japan, like Caitlin Clark would be a megastar. She would have her own anime in Japan, like within 6 months. That's how
maybe it's already happening. Maybe. Caitlin Clark, the anime. Clarku-chan. High dunk Clarku-chan. There it is.
Yeah,
go somewhere. I was the tallest woman in Japan.
No,
I'm 6'2". I don't know what to do. Let's play basketball.
Well, she might be the tallest person in Japan too at that height. But let's hop over.
I like to point out
Japan. Yao Ming's from China.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I like to point out.
Go ahead.
I wanted to point out that the WNBA is arguably the worst Tuskegee experiment we ever done.
Yeah, the WNBA is a mistake. At this point, if I'm the commissioner of that league, I get rid of every lesbian in the entire league and I just replace them with volleyball players. I don't care if they can play or not. They'll probably still draw more money and attention than the people who are playing there right now.
They just keep hitting them with traveling things because they're keeping the ball up as opposed to dribbling it. They just keep hitting it traveling.
Volleyball.
and then just to piss off the media even more, the audience doubles.
It triples, and everybody's interviewed like, "Why are you here?" I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. I can't tell you.
They stopped calling traveling in the NBA years ago. And
It's
I swear, I wish they called it every time they did it and be like, "Can you count?" And like scold them and then be like, hand the ball to the other team.
Now, Caitlin Clark really has not had that big of an impact because I think the luxury suites are still like $20. So
that can't be true. I'm sorry.
Wasn't that?
I see an opportunity here, guys.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago, back when no one cared about the WNBA. Let's be honest.
Okay, now it's going up to $50.
So it's I was gonna say, so it's like 50.
I bet they're a couple $100.
No,
I wanted
sweet. Even at a WNBA game, I would imagine it's at least like $200.
Last word here. Last word here for Johnson. Here's where you have to be careful. Because, you say you want a women's basketball league in bikinis. If you put the current WNBA players in bikinis, it's not going to be a draw. Like, you do not want to see those women in bikinis. Like, you have to change the personnel of the league first before you can institute that idea.
You're going to get them in burqas?
No, nobody wants to see Bob Griner in a bikini. I'm just letting you know that right now. It's not going to draw.
First ever barroom podcast meetup. Okay, I got an idea. We rent out a WNBA luxury booth for like $50. Okay, I think we can handle it. It's like gas money. All right? We show up, we do that, and we like wear the suits like we're ESPN 1970, and we play it as real as we can live. All right?
The beige blazers and like the red top.
Exactly. The beige blazer and the comb overs. Right? We'll get you a wig.
Get one of those get one of those little Bob Barker stick mics too.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not real, but they're like made out of straws and marshmallows and spray painted. It'd be great.
All right, I'm up for it.
And then we start making like off-brand. We start making like off-brand like comments like about lesbians, and like all of a sudden we just get pulled like halfway in.
Well, for on Twitch, maybe.
I'll be talking
we yell at the. What are you talking about lesbians for? We're Caitlin Clark fans. Don't worry.
We'll be the only WNBA channel on Rumble.
Can you stop drawing those little? Can you stop drawing those little mustaches on your face, please?
Oh man! Well, I'm gonna jump over to this story here because this is similar in the name of sports. So this one is gonna require just a little bit more backstory here. But I used to be a pretty big fan of Chelsea Football Club back in the day. I think what happened was that over the last 5 years or so, the club has really absolutely fallen apart for a multitude of reasons. And the fact of the matter is this. 2020, if you all remember, was the year that George Floyd happened. And for some reason, the English Premier League, which is a soccer league in a completely different country that George Floyd died on, they decided that they were going to honor Black Lives Matter and George Floyd by instituting a ceremonial kneel down before every game. And that went on for like several years. So a lot of people weren't too happy about that. But then it really kicked off in 2022, where if you guys remember, that was the whole height of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So when the Russia-Ukraine conflict happened, Chelsea's owner at the time, Roman Abramovich, who was the owner, who is also Russian, they literally forced him. By they, I mean the UK government forced Roman Abramovich to sell his team to another company simply for the sole purpose that he was Russian. That was their only justification. It's like he's Russian, he's somehow linked to Putin. These two, he's even said it multiple times before, even before this conflict, that he had a relationship with Putin like 20 years ago, and that kind of fizzled out, and he hasn't really been very close with that guy. But what they tried to allege was that, Roman Abramovich owns a steel company, and the steel company could be used as materials that the Russians could use to make weapons. So based on that, you're selling the team. And what they did is that the government in the UK, because keep in mind, they don't know anything about free speech or private property or any of that stuff, they forced him to sell his team to a bunch of Americans, and I think that deal got finalized in 2022 or 2023, and now those Americans are literally at each other's throats. They hate each other. They want out. And what you have here is that the minority owner, Todd Burley, who I believe owns a few leagues here in the United States, he wants a buyout of his stock. However, Clear Lake, which owns the majority of this, does not want to sell it. So this has obviously pissed off a lot of people, both here in the US and in the UK as well, because ever since Roman lost the team, thanks to the UK government, Chelsea has been basically a mediocre club. This was a club that was quite literally, I think in the time that he ran the team for about 20 years, they had the most championships, which included European championships and British championships out of any other team in the entire region. That includes Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, all of them, right? But ever since then, they haven't come remotely close of winning anything, so it's affecting their product on the field, which Chelsea fans are not happy about. And now there's this whole thing back and forth where the owners clearly don't like each other, and they're going in a back and forth at each other's throats. And now they're trying to figure out, okay, even if you force the one of these owners to sell the club, who's going to buy it? Like, who's going to be the next buyer of this team? You're not going to get anyone remotely dedicated to this club as Roman is. You have Todd, like I said, guy on the right, I believe is Todd here, who owns several other sports franchises, so Chelsea is not his clear priority. And then you have Clear Lake, which is basically just like another like business BlackRock type firm. So clearly they're not passionate about the sport. So you had an owner who was passionate about winning, who did put the time and the money into building a championship winning team, and now you don't have that anymore. And now it's an embarrassment. Todd Bowley is determined to press ahead and plans to buy Chelsea, despite Clear Capitals being confident that they will continue the club's majority owners in the long time. Chelsea insiders are surprised and concerned that the differences between the ownership clubs are now inconsolable, which means they really just don't like each other, have now entered the public domain. Like I said, they're trying to essentially find someone to sell it to, but the majority owners don't want to sell it to another minority because then they have to deal with the whole rigmarole again, and it's a public absolute mess happening right now. So the moral of this story is that Chelsea football clubs are very, very upset because things have completely fallen off the wagon now that they have to deal with this BlackRock light company and the American owner who clearly doesn't care enough about the club. He wants out. It's an absolute shit show of an opportunity here, and all I can say is that it's their own fault. There's a reason why over the last several years English soccer has really taken quite a hit in both countries, and it's because you have the social justice politics of it, which certainly hasn't helped things. And then you have the political aspect of it as well, which has really soured a lot of people. And imagine this for a second. Let's pretend like we try to think of an equivalent here. We all know Jerry Jones, who is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Imagine, I should say, if the American government really stepped in and forced Jerry Jones to sell the Dallas Cowboys because, oh, well, he has ties to Donald Trump and we don't like Trump, so you can't be allowed to have a football team anymore. That's exactly what happened here in the UK because they can get away with it there in the UK because, they don't really actually have human rights. It's just the way that it goes over there. So, Rob, I'll shoot this one over to you real quick, kind of as a sports guy. What's your take on Chelsea's whole situation here? It really is a two-torn story. It's like one is like the club is falling apart and they're getting mocked publicly because of the ownership trouble, and the fact that they're even in this position now because the government forced them to sell a team. Like, what is kind of your take on the Chelsea story as it stands right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not something I support. This is why I believe in just in general in America and in our rights, and the government can infringe on certain rights. And certainly if you own a business, what business is the government's, in terms of what the ownership is of it. I think that's completely asinine and sort of insane. This kind of happened with one of our sports leagues. The NBA basically forced Donald Sterling to sell the Clippers because he said some racially, and listen, I mean, yeah, he absolutely said some racially insensitive things, but it's your business. You own it. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's really hard for me to kind of even get behind that, where it's like the league's telling an owner of a team that hey, you have to sell. You can't participate as an owner in the NBA. And it's like, I guess if all the other owners agree, you're screwed based on the bylaws and whatever. But this is a different situation in that it's the government forcing it. It's very creepy, very Orwellian. And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know how it serves the public or what benefit it has, but obviously I'm not a big soccer guy. But yeah, it's it's disturbing. And the thing with the UK is like they make fun of us all the time because we have easy access to guns and this kind of
Cheeseburgers.
Freedom.
laissez-faire freedom or whatever, and they but it's like, okay, but you guys don't have rights, and you have CCTV cameras on every corner, and you know what I mean. And so it's like you guys have your own problems, and you're still recovering from Brexit and et cetera, et cetera. So I'll take America. And even though that globalism is creeping in over here, if not entrenched and going to get worse as the time goes by, at least we're not Europe, which is going to collapse a lot sooner. So that's all I can say. And yes, I do include the UK with that. So it's a shame. I guess I feel bad for the guy who ends up having to give up a team, but I wish it wasn't the case, but I feel like stuff like this is only going to escalate going forward.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a situation that I've been. Like I said, I watched Chelsea for like 2009. I think was the year that I started, because that was when I actually had like access to like watch that stuff over there. And in the last 10 years or so, it's really been popularized here in the United States, which is why you got like NBC and like a lot of these like networks have really started picking up on games over there. But as you say, we're also being exposed to here. It's just how poor the situation is in the UK as well. And there's always this relationship between like the UK and like the US, how a lot of people think that, they're basically just like, us over there, like in Europe. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's like, they don't even have like a third of like the freedoms that we have here. And we're seeing people in the UK now being arrested because of posts that they make on social media, how the police literally like comes up to people's house and interrogates them because like, oh, we saw a social media post that caused some concerns. You want to answer yourself about this? And things like that. And then the fact that, like I said, a government, because of a loose association with the Russian government, which really didn't exist, it's quite literally this fact that, hey, Russia's at the war with the Ukraine, we need to show solidarity with the Ukraine, so we're going to literally rip the team that you put everything into for 20 years, and we're going to rip it out of your hands and force you to sell and literally kick you out of the country. Like, that's the one thing. They didn't just force this guy to sell his team. They seized all of his assets. All of his bank accounts were seized. He had like yachts and whatnot that were in the UK that all got seized by the UK. They basically froze him out of the entire country and kicked him out of the entire like region. So it was quite literally one of the biggest Orwellian type of seizures that we've seen in quite some time, but everyone was okay with it. It was because like, oh, Russia bad, Putin bad, and no one looked at the greater ramifications of, if they can do this to a Russian oligarch billionaire, imagine what they can do to you, person who shitposts on X throughout the week. Like, imagine how this is going to trickle down to you eventually, and no one really saw the big picture here, which is kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of concerning things about this.
Yeah, I mean, if all of us were in the UK, we'd be bailing Rob out like every other week.
No, he would already be in jail.
Yeah, he'd be serving hard time.
The Tower of London.
Yeah, which is very nice. Actually.
Another Vincent Price movie, by the way.
Hmm?
Tower of London.
Connection from earlier.
You're gonna get this though. Oh, they're already on their way.
Yeah,
there it is.
There it is.
So it worked out great. Like, whoever those cops are, let them know. We appreciate them watching. But the thing is, yeah, right. Meanwhile, over in California, they're watching the Barroom Podcast. Thank you very much, Squad Car 11. But the thing is that you're going to get more of this as time goes on. Anybody who's othered, they like that term, by the way. Anybody who's othered, they're going to do this to. They did it to Alex Jones. Like, any American should have sat by and been like, whoa, okay, if he's that bad, put him in jail. But they stripped him of essentially his right to earn money. They took every opportunity he had to advertise himself. He literally had to basically suck up to Elon in order to get any kind of growth going on. And now they're going to forcibly auction this stuff off. Now, do I think that Alex Jones deserves any of that? I don't know. Like, I'm 50-50 on it, because I think you're allowed to say crazy shit in America. I'm a guy that says yell fire in a theater. If people die running away from the fire that's not there, I think we've had a Darwinian moment, right? It's one of those Darwin Awards, okay?
Yep.
It's one of those things. But
Well,
and
does
that's
just a
me.
real quick note here too. When they forced him to sell his team and they sold his assets, they literally seized. This is the UK, by the way, seized half of his assets. He was worth $14.5 billion before the seizure, and they cut him down to about 6.9 when they took everything from him. And it was just like, oh yeah, we can do that because no, you're Russian, we don't trust you. So
And I'm sure all those assets that they seized, they put to good use, and they injected into the national health.
all because of he was considered to have a good relationship with Vladimir Putin when the guy literally says I hadn't had a relationship with this guy in like 20 years.
Well, look, I mean, you have to remember certain things. First, I'm not a big football person or soccer.
Yeah, thank you.
Or although I do like going to the local team here. Point being, first remember the UK does not have an actual written constitution. Their constitution is just based on tradition, based on previous laws. So there's no recourse. We say, well, you're violating a particular rule or law because they don't have that written down. Second, this would be. I don't want to say this would be seizing property for someone who has not committed a crime. To my knowledge, keeping bad company is not a crime. Otherwise, all of us would be locked up just by Rob. Thanks, Rob. No, we would be. We would just be.
Hopefully, I just hope one day they just throw you in jail for one of your terrible jokes that you always get to us. I hope one day they just get tired of it and then lock you in the gulag with the Billy.
Well, you have to remember, I do still live in Texas, so that's probably not going to happen in a while. So unless Beto wins, in a landslide.
Texas, the home of dried humor.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's because it's
and
very
tigers
dry out
for
here.
some weird reason. There's a lot of tigers.
It's the sand.
But putting all that aside, it should be concerning that the government is capable of taking your property and distributing it among others, or deciding that you can't have it simply because you don't like the person that you've associated with in the past. We don't have guilt. We should not have guilt by association here. It's very concerning that this is a private, as far as I know, it's a private company. It's not the national team that they own. Correct? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, no. Even then, they wouldn't have ownership rights like to that. I mean, it was a private club, so
it's concerning. Although I will say one last point that if the government stepped in and ordered Jerry Jones to give up the Cowboys, a lot of Texans would be thrilled.
And then here's another thing too, and this just goes to show you just how completely full of it like they are. It's like, oh no, we can't have any Russians out here, owning our soccer clubs because that will show. I don't know. I guess in their mind, it'd be like, oh, we need to show that we're morally better or some nonsense like that. It's like you literally have clubs that are owned by both the Egypt government, the Saudi Arabian government, as well as people from Abu Dhabi, like multiple clubs in London right now. In London and in England, well, that too, right? But in England, it's like a Newcastle is basically Saudi owned, like it's 85% Saudi owned. That's Newcastle. Manchester City is owned by the Abu Dhabi United Group, which is basically the Abu Dhabi government. So there's another one. Shadiq Khan is another one who's basically from Pakistan, so he owns Fulham out there as well. And then Aston Villa just got bought out by essentially the Egypt government too. So I feel like if we want to start playing this game of we're only allowing moral people to own our team. Well, there's a whole lot of people that you should probably look into.
Can the British government also seize the team that Ryan Reynolds owns and does that TV show about?
Yeah, I mean that team.
In theory, they can. In theory, they can now because if it could be the Russians one day, but let's just say worse happens and Donald Trump is.
I mean, the Chinese own Wolverhampton, so I mean. What are we doing here?
No,
it's like, what's the point?
Let's say that the British government dislikes something in U.S. foreign policy, and then okay, well, we're going to punish, even though he's Canadian, we're going to punish Ryan Reynolds because he's a permanent resident, and we're going to take his club away from him. But really, everything aside, there's one thing that I don't think we've talked about. It's the Chelsea fans. they're seeing their team go down and down and down. It's something that they care about. I presume fans care about their team.
Oh yeah.
And now they're seeing it go down. For what reason? Because the government did not like the owner. The government is stepping in. Sad to say, probably some of those Chelsea fans actually wanted this to happen, because they're going to take it away from the Russians, and that's how we're going to punish Putin and save Zelensky and save the Ukraine. I don't think that's how it's going to work out. But all right, I mean, if you want the government to take over that business, they're free to take over any business.
Yeah, all I'm saying is like right now, like they're definitely on a lull, and then who knows? Because there's still an opportunity that things can even get worse. Because let's say they do eventually agree to resell a portion of the team, well, who's going to pick that up like next time? Is it going to be someone who even cares less about the team than the current ownership? So there's a lot of ways that this can definitely still fall apart for many Chelsea fans. And Chelsea was a completely different looking club back then. The fans were happy. They were actually like winning stuff. Like this is the type of content that they were putting on their channel back when it was owned by the Russians. And I'm just letting you guys know here that this was Russian owned Chelsea fan content, by the way.
All right, guys, welcome to the Chelsea fans channel. It is officially the worst kept secret in football. Antonio Conte will be.
So as you can see, there's probably a lot of invested reasons why the club is not too happy about the progress that their team has made over the last several years, especially now that the Russian money is no longer there. Because I don't think BlackRock Light is going to invest in this unless she has.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Jacob? What was that?
I was just saying words.
Chelsea,
good idea. Ghost Twitter looks fantastic.
2-3-1. It's very outdated.
We need to focus on the formation.
It worked for us in the past, but now we can't really keep up. Teams are figuring us out. It makes us look really slow. I mean, playing Mikel Matic.
Slow, that's sad.
Yeah, that double globe formation is very good.
Antonio
Yeah.
Conte is the sort of
I
manager
thought you weren't
who will,
interested
if he
in
has
this.
to, completely change it up. He'll play
What?
4-4-2. In some cases,
Huh?
he
No, I
can
thought
play
Orange wasn't
3-5-2,
interested in this
just to get
topic.
things going. He will
I got a
adapt to the
goalie
times
situation with her
and roll with it.
navel
That is
right
something
now.
we need, guys. A man that will adapt
My
to
interest
the
just got peaked.
Number two, something else that is very exciting.
She can count the
Antonio Conte's
interest.
first
Yeah, that's
play
what
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
the video
Now, we haven't
did
actually
in fact
seen that
count the
since
two, just
Ranieri
in
was in
case you were
charge when he
wondering.
used to play
Well, she seems like a
Hasselbank and
friendly
Johnson
girl.
together. But obviously, once Jose Mourinho came in charge,
She seems like a
all
great
rolled on
ex
with
at
Antonio
parties.
Drogba. That did work for us, but Drogba is no
She's
longer
pa-
here.
she's
We've
a
now got
passionate
Costa. He is
Chelsea
brilliant up front.
fan.
She's so good at her
how
job.
great
She doesn't have to
would it
read
be
her
if he had a
card.
partner with him? We'd like to know.
Oh, she had a card. Crap, I didn't see that.
Number
Is it upside down?
Antonio Conte
Now,
loves
I'm
wingbacks.
sure.
Look at what
I'm
he's done
sure
with Dami
she,
on
if
international
she's
level.
not working, she
This
could cover
could
the
be a big year
WNBA.
for Baba Rahman. He's
Hit
21
the
years
boob
old,
button
still
for
young, and is
likes.
full of
Oh my
potential.
Yeah.
Another bonus to us having wingbacks means that our more creative
Windbags,
players, such as
yay!
Hazard,
That's what I like to call
can
them.
play more centrally, creating more of a threat.
I'm so
Yep.
sorry. I
So,
did this.
soccer. Yeah, that's soccer in the UK. So, any final boobs? I mean, words.
That was
Was that
fantastic.
I
Freudian
think
or
we
was that
got all the,
intentional?
I like to just say that Chelsea is ranked fourth right now, and they have this new kid apparently named Cole Porter. He's a white kid, and he's been nailing every single shot that he's been given. He's really, really good. So I think this might be a little bit of a Cinderella story going on. Honestly,
Oh, all right,
Cole
Cole
Porter?
Porter. I was thinking the
From
songwriter.
Long Last Love.
I
Like
think
what?
his name is Cole. He's a white
Yeah.
guy. He's a white guy named Cole Porter.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say there's
his
a
name is Cole
black
Porter.
The other
man
Cole
Porter from like the
Porter is-
1940s.
Yeah, he wrote like musicals.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything
he's now going 4-2 against Bringington last night. So
Boy, he's a
It's
very
really great.
talented. He's a very talented figure, Cole Porter. I've always loved Cole Porter.
I'm an underdog happier. So let's go with Chelsea. I hope Chelsea goes all the way to the top.
Okay,
Hey,
we're
you
not
know what?
talking
Is there
about.
a block
I don't know anything about the
there
politics.
near you?
Eddie, you know one of Cole Porter's
Patrick,
professional.
can you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, we're not talking about boobs anymore, so I don't care about
I
this
Get a Kick
conversation.
Out of You was written by Cole Porter.
Great.
I get no
Police.
kick from champagne.
We're focused on
soccer.
boobs. We don't care about a porter.
You two shut up!
He's the one that brought up Cole Porter, not me. Okay.
Moving
Get
on.
a
Yeah.
kick out of you.
Speaking of boobs, let's talk about Ghostbusters 2016 because Paul Feig is still whining. It's been 8 years. 8 years since this whole thing has flopped. We've had 2 entirely different Ghostbusters movies come out since this film has dropped. He still cannot take the L for this movie. So He tried to do an all-female reboot of Ghostbusters. It failed. Nobody liked it. It lost money for Sony. It was terrible. And it was so bad that literally the son of the original writer came along and be like, no, I'm going to take this reins of this franchise. We're just going to pretend like this movie didn't happen, because in our estimation, it didn't happen. He moved on with the franchise. But Paul is still trying to defend this flop by saying that, oh, actually, the critics of it were Trump supporters. So that's the reason why Sony lost almost $100 million on this. It was Trump's fault. So yeah, this is an article from Bounding here. I think Spencer wrote this. It says, and yet another attempt to blame the film's failures. Yeah, right.
That should have been the title pick right there.
Oh my god! It says another.
Sorry to interrupt.
Paul Feig, who was the director of this terrible, terrible movie, said that, you know, it was a result of the political climate at the time, but many of those were unhappy with the film were unabashed Trump supporters. Now, I recall that this film actually came out before the election. I don't even know if Trump was even the nominee at that point in time.
July. Came out in July of 2016.
Yeah. But, you know, the reboot happened. So those guys who don't remember, these four were the ones. All these Saturday Night Live rejects did a Ghostbusters film, and it just wasn't very good, like, at all. Like, I think all of them were rejectedly terrible. I mean, Kate McKinnon was all right in the film, but then again, that's what she just is in, like, every single movie, so it's not really a special anymore when you have it in that context. But his conclusion to his Q&A, Feig was met with a
you sure
inquiry.
About that? Are you sure about that, or do you have like some Australian fever going on there, Bal? You got that down under tickle going on?
No, not with this one. No,
trust me. There's the land down under.
Hemsworth Australian.
I thought she was. Isn't she Australian?
No, Chris Hemsworth is Australian, and he was in the movie.
I don't even know where Kate McKinnon.
But they got a
from.
twofer on them. All right.
Where the kangaroos are plunder.
She's American.
No, even worse. Kate McKinnon's from New
okay,
York. Yeah, so she's one of Orange's people. So
Can you hear the thunder?
New Yorkese.
He says that, why did you make 2016 Ghostbusters a full-blown reboot that ignored the original films? To which he explained, Bill Murray had publicly said he didn't want to do another Ghostbusters movie at that point. Now, you probably said his name. Harold Ramis had died. Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson were there, but half the film team felt weird. It had been 30 years, and Bill and the gang were so iconic. I didn't want to do anything that hurt the original movie, so I just made a terrible movie that was a spinoff all in its own little world. So give him credit for that, at least.
Tax write-off.
Well, not for Sony, but the political climate at that time was really weird, with Hillary Clinton running for office in 2016. There were a lot of dudes looking for a fight. When I was getting piled up on Twitter, I go back and see who they were. So many of them were Trump supporters, and then Trump came out against us, and he was like, "They're remaking Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. You can't do that. Now they're making Ghostbusters for only women. What's going on?" They got all upset. Everyone went full effing cannibal. It turned the movie into a political statement to say that if you're pro women, if you're going to go see it. First of all, what made it a political statement is that you literally started like putting like, you know, the YouTube comments of the trailer that got released that everyone absolutely hated at the time period, and started writing that into the film. So don't act like you didn't play up to it. You 100% absolutely played up to it. It's like, it hasn't even been long enough to forget what happened with this film, Paul. So don't only try to rewrite history here. But
so like, I just want to say, when you get called out, like, you know, about this, don't tell people it was the political climate. Just sit there and say, we didn't know what to do, so we decided we would make a movie that didn't hurt the originals. And then talk about the decisions that led to giving birth to this. Don't sit there and say, I went to Twitter and I was traumatized by what I saw there. Don't do that, because that finds its way into like film classes where they tell you, as a director, if you want to continue working, don't do this.
I love Cider. That was great, and I loved your Tim Waltz jazz hands there. So.
Yeah, it's how Tim Waltz walked into the debate.
This dude, this guy,
Go ahead.
Paul Feig, made a movie in which it's a misandrist sweat. I mean, I believe this was the movie that Mary Sue got. That the Mary Sue actually got their website big for or from,
Yeeted.
if you can even call it that. But the thing is, this dude says it's Trump supporters' fault. Yet he admitted that this was a movie for Hillary Clinton supporters. I actually remember that shit back in 2016. This guy actually said it was a fucking political movie for my endorsement of Hillary Clinton. And I think that anybody else who doesn't like it are just a bunch of fucking sexist bigots. Well, dude, you fucking made your bed before the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, you did false advertisement with your trailer 35 or 36 years ago, or 31 years ago. 4 scientists saved New York. That was in your teaser trailer. And then, lo and behold, it's not a continuation. It's a complete fucking fabricated redo. This isn't a Ghostbusters film, by the way, folks. This is an attempt at a Ghostbusters film. That is literally why a lot of people won't even call it Ghostbusters Answer the Call. They just simply call it Answer the Call because it doesn't or it's not worthy of the title Ghostbusters. And so when Reitman rightly did the new movies,
Afterlife and Frozen
did
Empire.
Afterlife and did Frozen Empire, rightly did them, by the way. The women lost their minds. Oh, they're just a bunch of sexists. No. They're the fans who actually came out and walked out of the theater when you put your fucking movie in the theater saying that it's a Ghostbusters film. No, it isn't. Every man in that movie, except for the statue of Egon, was basically portrayed as an asshole or an idiot or a combination of both. No joke. And yet you actually expected people to watch your movie and not be insulted? Go fuck yourself, Paul.
I want to rewind even further
it was
back.
Everyday people.
I want to rewind even further back here because he has made numerous statements trying to defend this film's failure. And this is what he said back in 2020 when he was pointing back to the whole Hillary support. He said that, I think that some really brilliant author needs to write a book about 2016 and how intertwined we were with Hillary Clinton and the anti-Hillary movement. For everyone was at a boiling point. I don't know if it was having an African-American president for 8 years that teed them up. It said they were just ready to explode. It's like, it's crazy how people got nuts about women trying to be in power and in positions that they weren't normally in, he added. So it was an ugly, ugly year. So that was what he said like back then. He even tried to talk about, what was it, making like a 3.5 hour director's cut of this film. Like, he literally even tried to pitch that because he thought that, people actually loved this movie so much. The reality of the situation here is this. Ghostbusters came out, I believe at the time it made about $225 million on a budget that was like about how much was it? 144. Ended up losing about $70 million for Sony when it was all said and done. It was just a flop. It wasn't well received. Even the people who were trying to defend it just on girl power alone didn't really care much about it. Even that's why they've moved on since the whole thing. They don't even really bring it up anymore. Like, everyone has moved on except for Paul. He's still holding on to this because he just doesn't want to take the L that he's known for being the only Ghostbusters film that nobody really likes outside of the last one that just came out.
It's much easier for him to blame outside sources, Trump supporters or what have you, than to just admit, look, I wrote and directed a bad film. The script was not funny. And when I went to see this with my late friend Fidel, we both said it wouldn't have been funny if it had been men. It's not the gender of the characters, it's the material. It wasn't there. It wasn't funny. No one laughed. So he's so insistent on this that it's not his fault. That's what it boils down to. It's not his fault. He just refuses to accept any responsibility for the failure of this film. And let me point out also, in 2016, when this movie came out, we all presumed that Mama Hillary was going to win in a landslide. She was going to win Texas and Kansas.
No,
and
you
South
clowns
Carolina.
assume that. I didn't assume that.
No. Well, yes, well, you're unique, Jacob. But point being, most people assume that Mama Hillary had it in the bag. So this would have been another triumphant moment for her and for girl power. It's such an absurd idea. He just doesn't want to admit that his movie was bad. And sure, okay, I get it. Some people are just too egocentric to admit they are ever wrong, but he is. He can't keep blaming Trump supporters because Trump supporters are not going to be flocking to this movie. They're too busy watching Joker and apparently trying to, commit mass murders all over the place. So
like most people will do.
Yes, yes. It's that's that basically that's my point. There is that he just can't admit that he did a bad movie. It's a bad movie. It's not a funny movie. It's not a fun movie. It's not scary. It's dumb. It's insulting. I would argue that it's
Straight
probably
trash, homie.
It's probably more misogynist and probably a touch racist than other things. So what's he going on about? Just admit that you made a bad movie and move on. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your movie. Even people. You're right, Jacob. Real quick. I think even Richard Roper, who's not a conservative or Trump supporter by any stretch, he, I think, said that it was a bad movie. Just admit that it was a bad movie. Just admit it. Let go. Move on.
Yeah, Richard Roper's
honestly, I'll push back on this just a little bit. Frozen Empire, that one that just came out, I would argue that's actually worse than 2016 Ghostbusters. And I know that's going to upset like the hardcore Ghostbusters fan out there, but movie was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
it was atrocious.
It's probably going to be in my 10 worst.
So I want to like share a little bit about that because I bring it up occasionally, actually probably more than occasionally, but a long time listener of the Brett Easton Ellis podcast since 2013, so going back 12 years, almost 12 years now. He talked about this change in LA in 2016 where he noticed people could not talk about Trump. That everything, their life was falling apart. He was the cause of all, their anxiety going on. It's like, he doesn't have anything to do with that. You're working yourself up. Stop. You're the one doing it, and Paul Feig, just listening to what he said here, these people they only talk to people that are like-minded. They only talk to people that are wealthy and elitists. And, they live completely different lives than the average American. And so they think it's like the end of the world because they've never had any kind, like they think he's this existential threat. And so that's, and the fact that Paul Feig is retconning what happened in 2016, how like, oh, people hated my movie because there was all this uproar and anti-woman fervor. And it's like, no, we were the same country that we were under Obama. It's just that the Democrats decided to get behind Hillary Clinton instead of, and to be fair, whatever, Bernie Sanders, maybe that's not an answer, but there was at least a populist sort of grassroots effort to excitement around him versus Hillary Clinton. It was like, we don't want this. Like, we're not going to vote for this. We don't want this. At least, young people like at the time that like myself, that was that voting contingent that was like, yeah, we're not going to vote for Hillary. It's just not going to happen. So like, I think it's very bizarre. I mean, it's fitting for somebody in Hollywood in an echo chamber to sort of, go back and say that my movie was unfairly treated. And it's like, look, it was a bad movie. And even if you could reasonably say the audience just didn't get it, they didn't understand that I was trying to, put women in a position of power and control, and, that they could make their own choices over their characters, blah, 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 blah. Even if you wanted to accept that as a premise, it's like, that never works. It never works to tell the audience, no, you're wrong. It's like, you know what I mean? It defeats the purpose of the business that you're in. And look, I'd say all the time that audiences are fucking stupid. I think they are, but you still need them, especially when you're making a mass entertainment like a Ghostbusters movie. You need the fans, so why not give them what they want? You know what I mean? I beat up on franchise movies and IP movies, but like, if you're trying to make a successful variation off of something that already exists, you need to listen to the people that are interested in coming to see it. So this is just another tone deaf sort of projection by Paul Feig, who is, I wouldn't even say moderately successful as a director. I mean, he's working, most likely because he keeps saying the right things. But, to me, Paul Feig is the guy who was like involved with Freaks and Geeks with Judd Apatow back in the day.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like, whatever, man, it's fine. but he's not anybody I pay attention to, and why
Is
he
he
was
still-
he's probably a Hollywood yes man, which is probably why he was chosen for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie in the first place.
No, I'm just questioning. He's still writing on the Freaks and Geeks thing. That was like what, the 80s?
No. It was about the 80s, but it came out in like 2001. It only ran for one season on NBC. I
But
just
it-
know it because of Judd Apatow and a lot of the guys. Seth
I mean,
Rogen,
Paul
James
Feig at
Franco.
this point is still known for Bridesmaids. Like that's still his one
Oh,
claim
right.
to fame.
Yep.
Which was not that good. I'm
No.
sorry. It was
No.
not good. Okay, except for the airplane scene, which I did find funny. Everything else was just a slog.
It was an
just-
okay comedy that got overrated because it had a bunch of women in it. That's it.
He also was the man responsible for my review of the film Jackpot with John Cena and Aquafina. So if you guys want to check that movie out, don't.
Yeah, don't. Don't do that.
Where is that? Is that on streaming?
Prime
It's
or
on
something?
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I won't have to watch it. Not like when I was forced to watch Family Affair. I've not
Yeah,
forgotten.
so the moral of this story is like, dude, let it go. No one cares anymore. Like, people, neither side honestly cares about it. It's been 8 years. Move on. That's all we gotta say there.
Yeah, there have been two at least financially successful Ghostbusters movies since his. I'm not a fan of either of those two movies, so I don't know if I don't know if I would sit through.
I mean,
this-
Afterlife was nothing but like nostalgia bait, but I mean, it was objectively better than what they did previous to that. And then, like I said, that Frozen Water, whatever the name of that movie
Frozen
is, that
Empire.
was just
Well,
absolute
look at
dog water.
just compare the two directors. Okay, you have Jason Reitman, who's the son of Ivan Reitman, who did the original Ghostbusters movies. Okay, Afterlife, I would say was a moderate success. And then he didn't even direct Frozen Empire. I think he helped with the screenplay. But now he's doing Saturday Night, which is actually one of the more anticipated movies to come out. I think that's coming out this year.
Thank you, Spencer.
So again, I to be fair, I do have a bias. I do like Jason his movies Up in the Air, Thank You for Smoking. I haven't seen Juno since I was like 18, so I probably it probably has not aged well, especially with Ellen Page not existing anymore. But I know Jason Reitman has talent, and I'm kind of glad that he got to do the one Ghostbusters movie, which
I mean,
from fans at least it sounds like it was okay, even if it was a lot of nostalgia.
Cider, are you making the argument here that if they had got attractive women to be the Ghostbusters in 2016, that the movie probably wouldn't have flopped?
Yeah. Not that everything should have stayed the same in the movie, but had they gotten a group of hot women to do this, the movie would not have taken the shape it did. Because there are a bunch of frumpy, comedic women in their middle to late 30s, early 40s. They were made to be
all of those chicks are in
quirky
their
and-
40s at that point in time.
and-
Like they're pushing 50 now.
Right, and so rather than being like hot co-ed professor, explorer business ladies that were like thrust out into their like unknown, sorority space where they had to rely on their girl power. So like a pillow fight led to starting the Ghostbusters. Now I'm not trying to be satirical on purpose, but what I'm trying to say is that like there's a way to tell this where it could have held people in the seat and not made them angry. And you have like a bunch of sorority girls who just lost their funding and they're having a pillow fight, and one of them puts the pillowcase over their head and pretends to be a ghost, and they go, "Hey, why don't we start a ghost busting service and play it up just like they're rats? They're ghosts and rats in a house."
If the film had the comedic tone of like Charlie's Angels, like the movies from like the early 2000s, I think it
Sure.
would have been received far better than
Yeah.
whatever they tried to do in 2016.
Who's funny black Terry Crews? Have Terry Crews come in and be like their like coach, not like Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is not. He's
Chris
dude bro.
Hemsworth
He doesn't do that
Hemsworth
well.
was the himbo in all of this. A man
Yeah.
who was his character was just so unbearably.
He was lady bait.
stupid. Yes, and the worst part is how do you take a movie seriously, even for I know it's a comedy, but when he does that dance at the end, it's like, oh my gosh, we're like, please get me out of this. I don't want to be here. It's terrible.
But like I said, a group of hot women in this would have completely reshaped the plot, and people would have been far more receptive to it. Whatever they did with it, they would have been far more receptive to, because it's just a bunch of hot women goofing around with like CGI effects. You make the ghosts horny and grab at their boobs and stuff, and people go, "Ha, I'd do that." Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, Ghost can't do it. I would say that you don't have to be frumpy to be intelligent. I mean, because you do have these characters. At least they're all supposed. 3 of them are supposed to be.
Most lady doctors are kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. Most lady doctors are pretty well put together. They're not walking cannonballs.
You can be attractive and intelligent. I mean, just look at the whole panel.
Yeah,
yeah,
really?
Yeah,
can you though?
Yeah, but that Leslie chick was neither.
Yeah,
Leslie, I was disappointed.
See,
I
right
was disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's your movie.
Make that Scream girl, the one that like is like the one there that's back. They paid all outdoors to get her back.
Nev Campbell.
Yeah, make her come back and be like their like telephone answering lady, who's also kind of their mom nanny that nags at him. And then you just go do the horror callbacks with her. That's it.
Thing, I mean, remember the whole thing with the Chris Hemsworth character is that it was role reversal, and now it was the man who was the object of desire, and now it was the man who was supposed to be the idiot.
Well, that's stupid because the woman in the original one wasn't even the object of desire.
No, Jeanette was not. You were not supposed to want to get with Jeanette. You were supposed to be like, I know one of those. I hate those.
She was literally like a 40-year-old New Yorker with like smoker's lung.
You forgot to file your paperwork.
It was Annie Potts. Yes.
Yeah,
Annie Potts. There you go.
Yeah.
You couldn't have put in Jean Smart in there, so you could have like a mini designing.
But it was
reunion.
A comedy. I mean, this is the thing. It's like it was a comedy, and her character is sort of this nasally, kind of like librarian, very kind of rigidly, about her job and her daily life. So it's like all of that sort of works. And I haven't seen the 2016 version, but for everybody I've talked to, it just seems like they were purposely putting people in these roles without any developing a character.
We should have a movie night where Rob is forced to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
But honestly, look, it wasn't funny. It wouldn't have been funny with men. I keep saying that because we saw Frozen Empire. I don't think Rob or Jacob thought it was funny or good. So it all goes down to the script and to the director. He's responsible for this. He should just accept that he made a bad movie, and just get over it. Just get over it. We can't all bat 1,000.
Some of us can't even bat 200. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one here. And then we'll roll this one over here to our closer of the night, which is talking about our good buddy Zachary Levi, who came out as a Trump supporter during a event with Robert Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. And a lot of people have had a lot of comments about this because, oh my gosh, Shazam is supporting Trump. How dare you? And I see you have a photo there of Zachary Levi. It's like,
I'm so disappointed, Zach. How could you betray me like this as you tower over me?
I was about to say, I don't even think Zachary Levi is that tall. I think you're just that short.
I am that short. And he's kind of bending a little bit.
Yeah, how tall is Zachary? I mean, he's 6'4", so I mean he's tall, but I mean he's not tall enough to be towering over you like that. But,
yes, he is, and he was really nice. He just like when I went up, it's like, "Hi, I'm Zach." It's like, yes, I know who you are.
And the closest I've come with Zach, I believe it was either 2014 or 2015. He was promoting a movie at WonderCon. I don't remember the exact name of the movie. I'll have to think of it later on.
American
here. But
Underdog.
No, it wasn't American Underdog. It was something that he was working on. I want to say that maybe it was something related to, what was that show that he was on Chuck. Like it was some kind of like Chuck movie or something related to that. I'll dig it up here once we get to it. But yeah, he came out in an event and made some comments that, of course, his buddies in Hollywood and the left and the media got very, very upset about. And I just want to go ahead and play a couple of videos here of some of the things that he said and some of the reactions to the things that he said here. But this was last Saturday night where this broke, where Zachary Levi came on stage to make a statement to reclaim America.
Hey, Dearborn. How we doing, Michigan?
It's a microphone. You don't need to yell into it.
Yeah, but by the way, this is in Dearborn, Michigan, just in case you were wondering.
It's a beautiful day to be inside right now. Hey, do me a favor really quick, a little unorthodox, but turn to the person next to you and say, hey, I'm really glad that you're alive, and I'm really glad that you're here right now. Just do that real quick.
You're alive. I'm really glad that you're here.
Shut up.
Okay, now we're going to join hands and sing
That's called
Kumbaya.
unity, right? We're here for unity, right? We're here to make sure that we value every single person. Every single person.
All right, I want you to reach into the pants
Whether
of
you're
your
a Democrat,
neighbor.
whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Libertarian, an Independent, every single one of us is a child of God. Every single one of us is deserving of being seen and heard and loved and valued. Amen. 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 Listen, I'm not going to take too much time, but I did want to just give you a little context why Shazam is standing here talking to you about these various things. I grew up in my family, Christian conservative. That was pretty much kind of the lane that we were in. My parents were Kennedy Democrats that then turned into Reagan Republicans. And they taught me to have a healthy level of distrust for the government and a healthy level of distrust for industry that runs amok. And for a long time, I was like, man, I really want to find a politician that represents all of the things that I want and I want to see in a presidential candidate. And this year, I found Bobby Kennedy, and I thought, man, this guy,
Could really use an inhaler.
it. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. And in a perfect world, and whatever that would look like, perhaps I would have voted for Bobby. But we
You
don't
still
live in a
can.
perfect world. In fact, we live in a very broken one. We live in a country that has been hijacked by a lot of people who want to take this place way off the cliff. And we're here to stop that, right? We're here to make sure that we are going to take back this country. We are going to make it great again. We are going to make it healthy again. And so I stand with Bobby, and I stand with Tulsi, and I stand with everyone else who is standing with President Trump. Because I do believe...
And I am
that of the
standing
two
on a
choices that we
stage.
have, and we only have two.
We stand around here.
President Trump is the man that can get us there, and he's going to get us there because he's going to have the backing and the support and the wisdom and the knowledge and the fight that exists in Robert Kennedy Jr. and former Representative...
He's going to be standing on his shoulders the whole
let's welcome
time.
them to the stage right now.
So that was the introduction here. That I do want to play this one as well too, because this was another statement that he made during. Well, this is when he has Gabbard and Robert here on stage with him. I'm interested in what he says here.
Good thing to put the Shazam poster there in case anybody wanted to cancel him. You know.
Yeah, exactly right.
But the thing I wanted to say, and this is to Bobby's point,
How do you do that Oreo thing with your hair?
we are being inundated every single day with poison, not just in the foods that we're eating and not just in the pharmaceuticals that are being shoved down our throats. In the
Tulsi's wearing Oreo frosting in her hair right now.
The audio that we are hearing through our media, we are being poisoned and lied to. And hear me. We're all being poisoned and lied to. So as we go to the polls,
Make you look
as
taller.
you guys and your passion and your fervor and wanting to get Donald Trump reelected and recognizing that that is the thing that we need to do, recognize that all of the people on the other side that still believe that Kamala is the answer. They're not. She's not. But they are being lied.
And your internet died.
At the top of that food chain.
Ah,
but the
praise
American
Jesus.
people that believe that Kamala is the way, they are not evil people. They have been lied to, and they have eaten that lie, and it is in them.
Sure?
So to the best that we can do, may we practice grace. May we practice forgiveness. May we practice patience. So that as we go to the polls, as we talk to our friends and our family, and we encourage people to go and look, do not be baited into their attacks. Do not go and be what they want you to be. Instead, hold your ground in dignity and integrity and in love and say, hey, I understand that you might feel this way. Let's have a conversation. And if you're unwilling to have a conversation, then we don't have to have a conversation. But don't get baited into their hate, because that's what they want you to do. And that will not help us get to a better
I don't want to
world,
sign
right?
your petition, Zach,
So
but
that's
I'm
all I
glad
wanted
you're
to say.
here.
Right. And here's the thing, like I get it from this perspective. I feel like where he's at, he's basically like where Trump supporters were in 2016. Like they may have like still had a bunch of friends at the time who were kind of left wing, and they didn't really think that. Oh, I don't think my left wing friend is the devil. I don't think that he's evil. So maybe I could use this whole Trump thing to build a bridge to them and kind of show them my perspective thing. And then within 2 years, they were no longer friends. And like I said, I think that's kind of where he's at now. He's still kind of in the, I could still like sit down and have a rational conversation with the people that I work with in my
Alyssa
industry.
Milano will totally go to lunch with me after I say this.
Absolutely.
I'll still have a strong relationship with all those people in Hollywood that I know and that I work with. Yeah, not understanding is like, yeah, you're gonna get so much like vigor and hatred. And speaking of vigor and hatred, what about our good friend Will Wheaton, who came out and took a shot at?
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, this. There's so many F-related words that I can say about this guy here.
Did
but
he?
Of course,
That's finally calm down about Elmo.
Which one? This one?
Yes.
Yes, because we was Shazam. By the way, the WonderCon event was for the first Shazam movie. I thought it was a little bit earlier, but it was actually 2019 that Zachary Levi was at that event for. And yeah, so we've gone through the comments that he made here, and this is what Mr. F. Slur said about our good buddy Zach here. It says that something I love about our nerd community is welcoming and diverse we are. And it's like, oh my God, I already just want to stop reading just based on that alone. But we are a safe place for everyone who has ever been othered. We are a safe place for the vulnerable people to come together and safely love all of the wonderful nerdy stuff that we love. Yeah. With that in mind, I think it's pretty important for anyone who supports Nord headquarters to know who and what they're supporting. What a disappointment. What a disgrace. How disgusting. Quick edit here. Gently proving anyone who's not aware of the paradox of tolerance. A place is safe. A place is not safe if you can keep people out of it that will make it unsafe. This includes non-physical safety, and fundamental human rights are not a matter of opinion. So we need to get rid of Levi because now his presence doesn't make us feel safe anymore. This is literally the WNBA argument like all over again. It's like these people out here don't make us feel safe. So this guy right here is part of the problem. It's just like you're such a douche.
I just want to say really quick. I
No,
just
go
want to say
ahead.
really quick here, like tolerance. People misunderstand what tolerance really means. Tolerance just means I will, I accept your right to exist. I don't have to like you. I don't have to respect you. I don't have to honor what you believe. I will tolerate you. That is the bare minimum. That is what, I mean, really, it doesn't say it in so many words, but that's basically what the Constitution says. It's like, yeah, you have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like, I will tolerate you, like whatever. You have a right to exist. I'm not going to commit harm against you. Absolutely not. But I do not have to, I don't have to acknowledge what you believe. I don't have to like you. And I certainly don't have to respect you. Respect is earned. So I just want to say that real quick because tolerance is this magical word that gets treated as like you have to accept what I'm all about, and it's like no, I don't.
And you're muted.
You're muted, Jacob.
The tolerance for some people could just be choosing not to take a baseball bat and smash your head like Barry Bonds.
Right.
That could be
Exactly.
tolerance for a lot of people. This whole idea that tolerance means I have to like or respect you is like, no, that's not what the word means at all.
I'm still a little confused by Mr. Wheaton's statement that we're an open and welcoming community, but we're going to exclude people. So you can't. How are you welcoming?
That's how we're open and welcoming.
How are you welcoming and diverse and then say, oh, well, we're not going to accept someone because they have a different point of view? Look, diversity cannot just be based on race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, what have you. It has to be based also on diversity of ideas. I don't have to agree with you.
I feel like that's a Star Trek thing. That might be something Picard may
Well,
have said.
actually, I have been assured that Star Trek is socialist. It's all about socialism.
Oh yes, that's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Communist
very
manifesto in
imperial,
space.
imperialist.
And socialists.
Yeah.
And socialists have always been rational people.
Yes.
So,
but you can't be you can't be welcoming and diverse and then say, well, this person has a different view than I do, So we're not welcoming him, despite whatever popularity he has because of Chuck or because of Shazam. Again, I'm someone who's never been interested in the political viewpoints of any actor, whether it be Zachary Levi or Jane Fonda. It's irrelevant. I don't base my voting on what Vince Vaughn, another very tall
Crazy
libertarian, has.
idea.
Yes, but don't say that you're welcoming and tolerant and then say we're going to exclude you because we disagree with you. Zachary Levi can believe anything he wants. He can support any person he wants. He was in a battleground state, Michigan, which could go either way. Despite Kamala winning 537 electoral votes, will win. Point being, he has free to say anything he likes, support any candidate he likes. I don't have to support his candidate. I don't have to like his candidate. I don't go to see Shazam or Chuck or anything like that because the person on screen agrees with me or disagrees with me. I go because that's his job, that's his role, that's his performance. Let the man think whatever he wants. Let him speak out whatever he wants. It's irrelevant. It should be irrelevant to any person who goes to the movies or see something on TV or goes to Broadway because he did perform. I think he got a Tony nomination for a musical. So, and he has a very nice voice. So there you go. That's let him sing and let him tower over me. I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's framing. Cider, why don't you go ahead and say what you were going to say?
I just want to say thanks, Eddie, for streaming from the inside of a Mountain Dew bottle. I really appreciate that.
I was going to go with Sprite, but that's good enough.
I didn't want anyone to know this, but I guess my membership for the Ninja Turtle clan has officially gone through. So
yeah,
you look like you're reporting live from Baghdad right now under like those like night vision
goggles. The night vision goggles. Yeah. The funny thing is that every now and then the circle light will like center on it. Right now, makes it look like he's got big, huge anime eyes. Like the eyes are black in the background and the irises are glowing. It's got these huge anime eyes, like it's just huge wide-eyed expression.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody sees it. Thank you. I did a whole bit the other couple of weeks ago, and nobody laughed.
I was really high. I'm sorry.
No, I enjoy it. Thank you.
How's that different from any other week?
That's what I can say I am.
I mean,
I'm inside of a bomb.
It doesn't change how it affects you, you fucking idiot. You're gonna be the same. You're gonna be the same 1 week as the next if nothing has changed. If you're the same, so just being generally confused
maybe I'm different
is part of the process. True. It's all these things are true.
Well, in fairness, he's so close to Canada. You know, those vibes from Trudeau.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Levi says we have to love his love and pray and grace and everything. So I think we're accepting everybody for what they are. I'm green.
Had he had a bolo tie on, he would have looked like a Civil War era like public speaker. You know, like
young Ben Stein.
Yeah, a little bit.
Orange, you know? I know you posted some videos about this. It's kind of your take on Zachary Levi, and how do you think that his career in Hollywood's going to be navigated now that he's openly supported Trump? Do you think that he's going to have to go to a freak-off party in order to regain some of this? It's good fare with the business.
Well, honestly, I think that Zachary Levi may have tanked his career a lot because while the pendulum is actually starting to swing a little bit back the other way, it's not swung to the full way where conservatives in Hollywood can be comfortable with their open conservative values. Look at what happened to James Woods. Look at what happened to Matt Marston. Look at what happened to John Voight and a lot of them. I mean, John Voight doesn't give a shit because, well, he's done acting for the most part. But when it comes to Will Wheaton and his thoughts, I mean, if you guys saw me, I've been looking around my place here, and it's like I just couldn't find a fuck to give about what Will Wheaton's opinion is in this manner, because it's like, dude, you've literally been irrelevant since the early 90s. You weren't even relevant in Star Trek The Next Generation. Let's be completely fucking honest. That's why they didn't even put you in the movies, because you were that irrelevant. As for your opinion, Rick is right. How the fuck can you claim to be tolerant when your intolerant ass is saying he's not welcome here? Go fuck yourself. You communist little puke. But when it comes to Zach Levi, people should shut the fuck up. Let him have his fucking opinion. Last time I checked, this is the United States of America. We are bound by a constitution. Our First Amendment gives us the right to freedom of speech, religion, petition, assembly, and press. He is exercising his right to free speech. He is also exercising a number of other constitutional rights. The man is allowed to vote for whomever he chooses. And Will Wheaton, yes, I said shut the fuck up. But honestly, it's because what you are saying provides no value to to the progression of society. Now, I'm not saying that you can't speak at all. I am simply saying what you have said literally has no value. So therefore, I will ignore it and just, dude, I prefer to not hear you speak. So I will not give a shit what you have to say. But yeah, as for Zach Levi, he's right. I cannot, or if Trump wins, when Trump wins, actually, let me be clear, when Trump wins, and Kennedy is put in charge of Health and Human Services and whatnot, there's going to be such a shakeup. But the problem is they only got 4 years to do this. And then they got to somehow manage to make sure that there's another fair election down the line. When it comes to politics, it's a dirty game. And it's the devil's playground. You're going to see liars, you're going to see cheaters, you're going to see stealers, you're going to see a lot of corruption in a very flawed system. I mean, I was having this conversation with my brother earlier today. We need a proper leader and not somebody who is literally just letting our fucking country die. And I applaud Zachary Levi for actually having an objective viewpoint when he gave his opinion.
Well, it's very interesting that you're claiming that Trump's going to win the election, because if you guys hadn't noticed, our bar room from 2 weeks ago got taken down by misinformation because I alluded to the fact that the government is actually trying to kill Donald Trump before the election. And apparently you can't say here on YouTube that the government is trying to kill Donald Trump before the election. And I can only assume that after tonight's vice president debate performance from the person who's running with Kamala Harris, that there'll probably be a couple more attempts before November. So who knows who'll be on that ticket by the time.
There's no doubt.
I can't wait. I can't wait till they drop. I can't wait till they drop this show because the Cider's Walt's jazz hands.
Yeah, it will be his fault.
Could be in any number of things there, but yeah. I'm glad Zachary Levi said something. The cynical part of me, of course, wants to say, well, he doesn't have much of a career anymore after Shazam got, fucking torpedoed, and he doesn't really have much else beyond that. But I will say that Zachary Levi is an actor. He can act. He can actually, and people wanting, doing those stupid posts about be like Dave Bautista in a world of Zachary Levi's. It's like, support the candidate that's basically being pushed on us by every corporate media outlet that exists. And I mean, even Fox News is kind of like not really even going hard at Kamala as hard as they could. So it's just like that writing is kind of on the wall. I don't think that there's going to be any transformational changes if Trump is elected. I'm kind of, if I had to bet one way or the other, I would probably just say Kamala is going to be president. But I am somebody that kind of thinks it doesn't matter. I mean, I literally argue with my stepdad like all the time, where I'm just like, I'm either voting for Trump or I'm not voting. So it's like, in this argument of like, oh, well, you're allowing other people to have your voice or whatever. And it's like, no, you're not. It's a fucking corrupt, dichotomous political system where we believe that we get a say in who is the leader of our. It doesn't fucking matter. Sorry, I have to like remember that Trump is not exactly part of the political establishment, but he is part of the like whatever. He is part of like the wealthy corporate establishment that's existed in this country for 40 or 50 years. So that's fine. Whatever. At the end of the day, I kind of feel bad that Zachary Levi is going to be kind of hung out to dry. I don't think this is going to go over well. It already has been kind of attacked, and with Will Wheaton's bullshit there. So, but whatever. It's at the end of the day, it's like if you believe something, say something. If you really honestly believes in something, then speak your mind. That's what the First Amendment's for. But we live, we all know what the real world is like, and these people can be like, oh well, there are other people we're interested in working with, and they'll create any reason they can to not associate with them.
Well, I don't think his career is going to completely disappear, especially when Kamala wins in a landslide. I think that he can always go back to Broadway. He can always be the narrator at the Trump Presidential Library. He could record the walking tour. So there's that. But I think he'll be fine. He'll take a hit, but I mean, we just saw a movie with John Voight, Megalopolis. So yeah, he'll. I mean, there's always going to be roles. He might work for cheap now. So there'll also be people who still have fond memories of him from Chuck. I don't know why from Shazam, because they're terrible movies. But
He
he'll
did the
fine.
Flossie dance.
Zachary Levi.
That's the one where they shake their fists behind their butt.
Zachary Levi did that?
Yeah, he did the dance.
I thought that was the floss.
Isn't that what it is? The Flossie dance? Isn't that what it's called?
Floss, not. I thought you said Fosse.
Floss.
Whatever.
Flossie.
Like Bob Fosse.
Yes, like Bob Fosse.
Jazz hands!
And he did all that jazz. He'll be fine. That's the thing. And Zachary Levi has every right to speak his mind. I don't think it should be held against him, whether he agrees with someone.
He's supporting a bigot, Rick. He's a bigot supporter.
He's terminate
literally
the
a Nazi.
Constitution. That man will terminate the Constitution and become a dictator. That's why we need a complete Senate and House of Democrats and a Democratic president, because only with a one-party state can we save democracy. All right, people? Learn that. Learn that.
The thing to remember about this is that there are like outside film studios. We know that there's a new Jesus series being put out by a studio that is as independent as I did some research into them. I looked as deep as I could, and they are not big funded. They are crowdfunded. So this is a pretty independent studio. Well, it's not so much that he can be in Jesus flicks. What I'm getting at is like we had the Sound of Freedom, right? And that was a very good like action film that you could take like your wife to, right? And she would feel something about it, be like, wow, that was pretty good when he shot the bad guys. It's not like a Chuck Norris movie where he's roundhouse kicking Chinese people through windows for half an hour. But the other thing is that this is what Zachary Levi should probably be doing with his career at this point. He has that dad look now. He's starting to salt and pepper in the hair. This is a good time to put on the flak vest and become an FBI agent that's, a loose cannon. This is a good time to become that character from like the 80s that, I don't want to wait for permission to shoot this criminal. I am watching them hurt someone. That kind of like law enforcer. He's got that look for it. He's got the attitude for it now. You heard him talking about God. That came from his gut. So he shouldn't be in Hollywood. He really shouldn't. He should be out in independent film, not lending his name to it, but enjoying the craft of it. Building up perhaps his own studio. I think that's a much better pathway for a lot of these guys like Mel Gibson, Marky Mark, these guys that have made it abundantly clear that Hollywood is not their vibe.
Yeah, but unlike Mark Wahlberg, Zachary Levi can actually act, and he could do that. He could.
So I came up with this the other day. I was high as a kite. I came up with this the other day. So you've got Mark Wahlberg, you got Tomino, right? You got Hideki Tomino, whatever his name is over there from Gundam, right? On a plane together, right? And so it's like, this summer, Mark Wahlberg famous actor, beloved Bostonian, Tomino, the creator of world-renowned anime series Gundam, are on a commercial flight together. But little did they know, today is 9/11. And like you got like Mark Wahlberg, right? Like Mark Wahlberg's like, how did all these terrorists get on this plane? I'll tell you what, pal, you're getting off the plane wicked fast. And you got Tomino with a gun, right? Tomino's got a gun, but he's speaking pure Japanese, and Mark Wahlberg doesn't speak Japanese. And he's like, I don't know what you just said, but it sounded incredibly American because you're holding a gun. Let's go. And it's just
Bonsai!
Cider, even for you, that's pretty high.
It's called Lucy in the Sky with 45s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Noah Hawley made a movie called Lucy in the Sky, and it was fucking terrible. That came out a couple years ago. The guy who did the Fargo FX series.
Oh.
I will say this real quick. What you just described, Cider, is one of my favorite directors working right now. He only does a movie every 4 or 5 years, but his name's S. Craig Zoller. He did Bone Tomahawk. He did Brawl in Cell Block 99, and he did Dragged Across Concrete. And Vince Vaughn has been in the latter two. Mel Gibson joined him for the last one. That's a guy who knows exploitation movies, and he doesn't have the panache of Tarantino, but he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think Zachary Levi would be great in one of those movies, in one of those roles.
And just for the record, Vince Vaughn was very open about his own libertarian views. This is a man who openly supported Ron Paul. So they will survive. Zachary Levi will survive. And
he's still going to do movies at the end of the day, but look, he's not going to get invited to the CAA Balenciaga parties to do the giant, Marvel movies anymore. He's not going to be part of the Warner Brothers. So you're not going to work with the major studios like anymore. Like you're not going to be imparted to like the Sony ponies or anything like that, but you can still do like, small independently funded films, which is basically where you're going to be at now. So it's like at the end of the day, is he not
how?
I mean, it's not really.
It's becoming the future of film.
Especially since we've seen what the big studios have producing, it's not really that much better. So
yeah, I mean, he could do something like Sound of Freedom, or he could do something like I don't know, Argyle. I would tell him to do the Sound of Freedom type movie versus.
I do like the idea.
Sorry, go ahead, Eddie.
I do like the idea of him replacing like Mel Gibson for a lot of things, because not only does he have like that gritty kind of face that he has going, and like Cider said, he has like a dad bod going. He also is really good looking. Right. He's also really good. He's also really good looking, and he could be in those like what women want kind of movies, the romantic comedies that girls like to go see. So it could be a real renaissance in that kind of film with him.
Zach, since I know we bonded in El Paso in the second, like 50 seconds that we met, you could always run for office. It worked for Ronald Reagan, whose movie also came out this year. Just consider it. Just consider it. We could have another actor turned president, but you just need a first lady who will.
I do want to just say real quick, the Sound of Freedom, if you remember, was going to originally be or was a Disney release, or whoever owned it under the Disney brand. So it was already a completed project. They didn't want to release it, and then I think Angel Studios bought it up to get it released or whatever. But again, just the point I made, there are still independent directors out there who want to make interesting, gritty movies that challenge a lot of the common conceits that Hollywood pushes. Like you can't complain about living in like an inner city neighborhood where your daughter gets harassed by criminals because, oh my gosh, they might have dark skin. Oh my gosh. Things like that are in Dragged Across Concrete that you just don't see anymore. You don't see that because it's taboo. It's like movies used to be about all kinds of things, have all kinds of perspectives. And by the way, actors want that because it gives them the opportunity to play all kinds of different characters. I mean, I would love to see Zachary Levi in things that aren't dork, no offense, like dorky Shazam or Chuck wearing the Geek Squad uniform. But
Being a
that's-
self-defeating character is what you're.
Look,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
put him with-
So,
put him with
I'm
Walter
definitely
Hill.
open to that other opportunities for him.
Didn't he play like sort of darker character? I think he's played darker characters.
Yeah, give him to. That's what I'm saying. Give him to Walter Hill. Give him to somebody who can really fucking bring out that kind of character for him.
You got Zach Levi, Cat Williams, and Terrence Howard in a buddy cop movie set in hell where 3 cops have to fight their way out.
That's
and he
called
gets to sing a
Ghostbusters.
song.
That's
He sings
Ghostbusters.
his way out. He sings his way out.
Sure,
No,
it's a musical.
no
That way
songs.
it'll
We're
compete
not
with the new Joker
no
movie. It's a
musicals.
musical.
I'm pulling rank on Rick.
Fingers through
He
my hair.
did Tangled. Remember, he was entangled.
We're not doing any more Rick show tunes. We're that era is done. We're done with that.
Excuse me, I'm not the one doing the jazz hands. That's Cider. All right.
Baby, sweet babe.
Neozoic, I don't know. Iran's blowing up Israel. They're attacking each other. Who knows? This whole thing of Hollywood might not even exist in 5 years. So I mean, we could just be wasting our time.
You know that Iran just misses and it gets Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take 2 years for AI to replace it.
Yeah, right. He'll give everybody $700. Okay, it'll be fine.
Like who knows? In 10 years, everyone in Hollywood might be tossed into the lake of fire for all we know. So it's like we're just hedging our bets here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There you go. Well, the one little note here before we sign off here for the night. I just ran down a statistic because we started this night talking about the WNBA and how everything has fallen apart after Caitlin Clark has been bounced out. She's been out of the playoffs now for about a week, and they've now done a tally. The WNBA has now lost 63% of its audience since Caitlin Clark has been eliminated from the playoffs. So great going, guys.
Let's go with 100. Let's go. Let's go.
You know,
that's more than half.
I like to point out that's how you win the culture war. Like if there's a culture war in women's basketball, that's how you win it. You just vault.
Look, once Caitlin Clark left, all those racist, sexist, homophobic fans of hers just decided, we're going to start watching the debate. So that's where they went.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we're gonna go back and watch Alabama and Georgia. We don't care about what's going on with the Liberty. So yeah, way to go, guys! Great marketing.
I had that game on, by the way. I had that game on, and I was like, "Oh, 28-0. Okay, that's over." And then
I was literally on MSK's show while that game was on, and by like an hour into the show, we just started talking about the game because they came back from like 28 points down, and it was like
it was insane.
Yep. WNBA playoffs are going on right now. Yeah, exactly. No one even knew, or even if they were watching. But I think that's it. I think we can wrap it up here. That's a good point to jump off here for the night. So I'll go ahead and hit it over with you guys. Let's go ahead and get this guy out of the way.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me here. I will. I'm all I have coming up is my Mummy retrospective, where I'll be going through the 1932, 1959, 1999, and 2017 versions of the Mummy. More reviews, including Megalopolis, and I believe some others. And just as always, more reviews and maybe a Zachary Levi musical. I'll start working on that as soon as the podcast's over. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Going over to this guy, he went from a Sprite can to Purple Rain. Is that where we're at now?
Is this purple? Yeah, I think it's a little more pinkish. I'm trying to go for a Bret Hart motif.
Yeah, no, it's definitely way more purple.
Yeah, I think also the back. Fuck. Anyway, y'all can catch me on Twitter on @EddieBrock_YT. I actually have a question. Like, you're a bunch of guys. I can ask you this.
Okay.
So I go to a place around the corner next to my waterfront that's a steak shop. And there's this butcher, right? And she's really happy and bubbly and everything. So every single time she cuts up my meat and serves it to me, right? She always goes, "Thank you very much for coming." Now, I think that's like a tell, like she might like me, but I'm not entirely sure. What do you guys think?
No, it's always a trap. No, never fall for that. It's the worst. It's the worst when you get that feeling like, wait, is she into me? It's like, she's working at her fucking job. It's the worst. I mean, if you feel something, like, shoot your shot. But I'm just saying, in my experience, that is the worst thing where you convince yourself.
Yeah, because here's the thing. They're trying to.
when she does this, that's what made me go like, okay, wait a minute, that's a little too much for a butcher.
Maybe.
So and it was before I gave her a tip, so that was another thing that gave me hesitancy.
I mean, you can always give it a shot, but yeah, women in the service industry do that stuff all the time. They're just they're literally trying to money mark you out of a couple of dollars. That's what I feel like.
All right. Well, if you want to see more failure in my love life, follow me on Twitter, EddieBrock_YT.
Mm-hmm. But this guy in the orange beanie, he has something to say.
Sup? I'm just doing October. I'm doing a October theme streams. It's Monster or October Monsters for theme streams for Tuesdays. Wednesdays for the 1s and 2s, it's going to be Insidious on my friend Jay Shadow stream. That's going to be in the later halves. Next week, Sunday through Wednesday, I will not be around. I'm visiting family. So there's not going to be any streams that I'm going to be joining or anything like that. So you guys don't have me next Tuesday. I know, thank God, right? But still trying to reach 2,000 subs, getting out content. Friday night is Orange Hat Uncensored. And yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks for my normal streams. So yeah.
All right. Cider.
Did anybody else notice that during the stream, Orange's audio would break out into like Contra video game sounds?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's been doing that for several weeks.
Oh, okay. I was just like, oh yeah, Contra. I remember that noise. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Also, wouldn't it be weird, Rick, if like you walked up to Zachary Levi and extended his hand and he says, "Hi, I'm Rick," and you said, "No, that's me. That's what? What's happening? How did you know?" You do?
I would be amazed.
Right?
I would be like, oh, okay, I'll be Zach, and
Right?
we'll swap. It'll be a musical comedy where we swap, and people
See-
just assume that I'm actually a 6'4" Welshman, and he's like a 5'7" Mexican. It
Sure.
works perfectly.
It'd be great.
That's a buddy cop movie right there.
Yeah,
See?
with musical numbers.
You can tune in to more great ideas like that over on 01 on Bounding Into Comics YouTube channel tomorrow at 9 p.m. 8 p.m. if you're a weeb, but 9 for everybody who likes the other stuff out there. Also, tune into our gaming coverage, and I post music now. I invented a whole new genre of music called Gamer Country. Yeah, you'll have to tune in and find out what that's all about.
Yeah, Cider may or may not have a problem.
I'm the AI Banger King. It says so.
Again, framing. Like, you really got work. Rob, how's it going?
Pretty good. It's October, so I'm going to be watching a lot of horror movies. If you guys have any suggestions, you can always, hit me up on my Twitter over there. The podcast I'm doing is kind of on hiatus till I figure out what I'm doing with a streaming client partner, whatever the fuck it is. So, but yeah, I will get back to that at some point. Between now and the end of the year, I'm just going to be catching up on reviews. I'm still stuck on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which we talked about tonight. I liked Megalopolis, which I think is a mess and has issues, but we'll talk about it on Friday. There's just things in it that make me laugh, and it's ridiculous. But that's Francis Ford Coppola spending his own money making whatever the hell he wants. So I'll be on Friday to talk about that. And oh god, that fucking Joker sequel, which even people that were excited to see it are saying it's fucking terrible. So really looking forward to that one later this week. But as always, you can find me over on my Twitter. And it was good seeing all of you again. Okay.
He smiles because he means it.
Pour one out for Rob, huh?
Poor Rob. So yeah, we got a couple of things coming up. This Friday, we will be having a Friday night movie club. As some of you guys were asking, hey, how come you guys didn't review that movie this week? And it's like, we're probably better off reviewing it this Friday because we can review the Francis Ford Coppola movie and we can do Joker 2 in one shot. So that's what we're going to be doing Friday night at 10 p.m. Over here on Friday Night Movie Club. This coming Sunday, the next episode of the Bible Lens podcast, I'm going to be talking with our good buddy Shagsworth. Shagsworth is joining us again on Friday night to have a little part 2 of our conversation that we had a few months back. So join us in for Friday night. We're going to talk about things that are going on in the world, certain YouTubers who are known for saying the F slur over and over again, and some other disagreements that we may have. And then we'll be back here next Tuesday night, episode 119 of the Ballroom. So yeah, we'll have everything all laid out and ready to go next week. To everyone who joined us here on the show tonight, thank you guys for joining me and all of your colorful I don't know what the word I'm going to use here. Thank you all you guys for joining us here in the chat here. I know you guys are ready to go ahead and go to sleep, but before you guys go to sleep, we have an outro for you, and all your names are up there, so you should probably watch it. The Banger King over here provided the song here, so appreciate the song and appreciate everything else. Adios, goodbye, and good night.
Okay. Oh.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the Ballroom Podcast, friends, we share our thoughts and tease. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear. In this ballroom of the airwaves with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.